But hello, chat. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, welcome to a very, very special tea time. Okay, we are back where we started. In fact, guys, we have Wall of Enders, aka Bootspur, MMO Inks, and mostly we have Brazil as well. He's pretty much here, so that's some good stuff. Almost Brazil. So yeah, we are exactly back where we started, and what a journey it's been. Do you guys remember the first tea time? The first ever tea time about Guild Wars 2?
That was exactly 237 episodes ago.
Wow. My goodness.
Did
Was it really?
wear a tuxedo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, you thought this was going to be serious, and now I'm fucking
You also had wine as well. You brought wine. You had a fine port, I believe. Actually, you were just having a snifter of.
I think we lost the feed. I'm seeing Plenix again.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah,
Just ignore that. Just refresh. It does that. You just embrace it. Just enjoy it. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah.
So does that mean that since we've come first circle, this is now the end of tea time?
Yeah, this is tea time endgame, dude. This is it.
the last episode.
Yeah, the last ever tea time. So enjoy it while you can, dude. Okay, enjoy it while you can. Wait, Brazil, I'm being told that your profile picture is from an incredibly degenerate hentai.
Yes, it is. Do you want me to give a rundown on it?
No, let's not do that. But also, I'm kind of scared that the chat knows this, right? Like, how do you guys even know this stuff? What the hell is wrong with you?
Did you post my profile picture?
Well,
is it on the stream right now? Oh, it probably sees it because of Discord.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I can give a backstory. I actually own a physical copy of this one.
What?
What kind of shape is the physical copy in?
It's in pretty good shape. I mean, I bought it new. I've only read it once. I didn't, get off with it. I have a shelf of collectibles, and it's on the shelf. Because
It's not a bathroom copy.
No, the main character has a story arc similar to someone that I did in fact know in real life. And so that makes it doubly awful. And so yeah. That's why I purchased it.
Okay.
Well,
So how bad is it? Is it so bad that we should not describe it on tea time?
Is it the one you described on stream once? Didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of briefly described it once.
Yeah.
But I didn't really go too in depth with it. I don't think it's pretty bad. I think the English translation name is Metamorphosis, but I think Emergent is kind of what the internet name for it is, the unofficial translation. So if you just Google Emergence Metamorphosis, you'll find it, and you'll hate yourself after you read it. Unless you're like me, you buy a physical copy.
Okay.
You're really
nice. But anyway.
I would also personally not recommend that anyone read it under any circumstance because it's really pretty terrible.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
you really shouldn't read it. You really just shouldn't read it.
Are you doing reverse psychology right now?
No, I'm actually being honest.
Okay, good. All right, I won't read it. Sounds good.
You really shouldn't read it.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think it's time to run away very fast, back away very quickly from that topic, and move on to something that something slightly different. And how about some nice Guild Wars 2? I think that seems like sounds like a fantastic topic to talk about on a Guild Wars 2 podcast. So let's get right into that. Now, we have had a balance patch, right? A balance patch. And that's the content we've currently had, and it was a fairly minor one, but we certainly did have a few changes emerging. We have a brand new Berserker as well, and as with every balance patch, we have a new incredibly cancerous Mesmer build in PvP you can play as well, which is just absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely terrific. Okay. Now people are playing like Mass Stun Chaotic Interruption Mirage. Yeah. Okay, it's moved over to that, and it's great. Like they hit you with one stun, and you just get 5 conditions now, and it's not good. It's not good. And and do you know the changer to F3 boots, like the diversion thing where you have domination?
Yeah. The one that stuns now.
It turns out that if you shatter, right, and your clones aren't all instantly on the same target, it will they'll run in like chain stun you.
Yeah, we were supposing that when I was talking about it with the other guy. That sounds like a great idea.
So it basically chain stuns you for like 5 seconds. Upwards of 5 seconds sometimes.
That's great. So you just got to counterplay that. Just know that if you have a bunch of clones running in at you, stunning you, you wait it out before you use your stun. You got to wait it out.
Yeah. See what you just sit there for 4 seconds while you're just chain stunned, and then you just die.
Stability. Easy stability.
Easy stability. Yeah, you gotta get 4 stacks of stability, then you'll be okay, right? But so the balance patch in itself, I would say the most remarkable thing about it was the Berserker rework, and now I think it has been met with fairly mixed reviews, right? I would say. I think unfortunately the players in raids are not the biggest fan of it. It is not particularly fluid, as I understand it, and that is really upsetting to a lot of warrior players in PvE, especially the condition variant as well. It feels, as I understand it, it's not very fluid. It feels a bit clunky, which causes a big step down. Warrior in general was very much this class that had one of the most pleasant rotations, the most fluid rotation, right? The old discipline or even tactics warrior was a really fluid and clean rotation you could just do. And so I think that kind of sucks. But you know what the other angle is that in PvP people are having a great time with it. There's some hilarious clips in War vs. World as well, just one-shotting people, going crazy with that Arcing Slice.
Is insane right now. Arc Divider, you just run in without any preamble, just get your full adrenaline with one skill, pop your Berserk, and then use your Arc Divider right away, and you do 30k damage to everyone around you, and you can make it unblockable. It's kind of insane right now, but that's only if you're going pure YOLO. I don't think a lot of people really want to do that in PvP. So yeah, I kind of like it though.
The interesting thing about this one, Boots, is that you know how we have in PvP, you have the Necro and the Firebrand, right? We have that support DPS role. In a way, I think ArenaNet is trying to have a replacement, not exactly a replacement to Necro, but another type. Okay, of Necro. So, in other words, the Berserk, like a squishy damage dealer, because like no other class really it goes into that role, really. Like you could even say Reaper is maybe like that, but wait a minute, that's also another Necro, right? So, I think what ArenaNet want is to have another alternative for the big team fight damage dealer that requires a support. So, I suppose like the carry, right? An alternative to the team fight carry, which is not something that has existed before. Like you still have other classes in the team fight, like Rev and Hollow-Smith and stuff like that, but they don't need to get carried. Like only Necro needs to get carried currently, and perhaps Berserker is potentially that. And it has seen some experimentation even at high level play. For example, Draza was playing it in the EU monthly automated tournament, right? That's obviously that's some high level gameplay there, and it actually worked out pretty well, to be honest. It got pretty far, so it's certainly not useless. Perhaps it's not best in slot, but it's certainly something to bear in mind as an alternative. I think as people get used to it, I think it will get worse, right? I think that's one of those things that right now it surprises people. They don't see it coming, because if you get hit by
at the same time with that the potential of that Arc Divider, it's hard to see it coming. You'll see the animation, but you're already getting the damage dealt to you pretty quickly. So it's tough. It's like they could pull it off at any second, really.
Yeah, and of course it's a bit tricky to actually dodge, right? Because it's going to hit you 3 times in a bigger and bigger radius. It's everywhere, right? So it is certainly difficult to perhaps get away from that, even if that's the case. But I don't know. It's definitely a good. Some interesting changes, I think, for sure. It is a shame that the PvE build kind of fell by the wayside, but I am sure people will get used to it. But
do you think that it's just a matter of learning a new rotation that people aren't quite ready for yet?
Yes.
It's a bit of both. In a way, I think people are attached to how the rotation feels, and I don't think there is something to be said for it, it becoming a little bit clunkier. That may very well be the case, right? But I think people will get used to it eventually. It's all the elementalists were really upset about lava font, right? And then they were really upset about, all the mesmers were really upset about all the mesmer changes and stuff like that. But I mean, overall, have these changes been perhaps a negative impact in?
I'm still upset about fucking Fireforge Trigger.
Yeah, yeah.
That was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Is it the longbow rotation that changed?
It's the longbow one. The longbow rotation changed.
Okay, yeah. Fuck all the haters. That build sucks anyways. Fuck it. Axe Warrior is the only good build in Guild Wars 2. Every other build on every class sucks. Axe Warrior sucks.
Yeah, Axe Warrior. Well, Axe Warrior is actually what you can play now. You can play with Power Berserker, and that's now.
Yes. I'm playing Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to play everyone.
All right.
Brazil's back.
That was actually Gachi, dude, right there. That was actually Gachi. Yeah.
Get on it, Zach.
Wow, my goodness. Yeah, Power Berserker is back. I mean, I think some people aren't the biggest fan of how some of the Berserker mechanics actually work, but I do like them putting in some effort into these reworks, but it does concern me with regards to the priorities of ArenaNet with a balance switch. And this is something that I kind of want to talk about a little bit. It seems that the priorities ArenaNet have are not exactly fixing the balance issues or like the fun issues in the game. It's more about like adding flavor and reworking stuff just because it kind of needs reworking. And I think the priorities are off there. For example, there are some incredibly glaring problems in world versus world balance, right? Okay, and they've existed since Path of Fire. I would say PvP and PvE are both heavily power crept, and I think that's a very dangerous state for the game to be in. I think it's quite unwelcoming. It's unwelcoming for new players.
How would they deal with it at this point? They'd have to do a complete overhaul of everything if they wanted to reduce the power creep there.
Yeah, I know, but well, it's an interesting discussion to have, right? Like, is it futile? Do you think that's a position you can actually defend? Because I think it would be better. The best thing to be done for the game is toning down this power creep. And yes, it'll be very difficult. And yes, they'd probably have to do it all in one go. But just because it's difficult, surely that doesn't mean they shouldn't do it, right? And yeah, it'll be.
Well, I think that means they probably can't do it. They probably just don't know how.
It's a big undertaking.
It is a big undertaking, but I do think it is necessary. I really think it's necessary because otherwise, I think it's just going to get more extreme.
Power creep in PvE is too high. Is that specifically for raids or what?
Well, with raids, I actually think that the face roll creep is too high. I think with PvE, they are consistently reducing the skill reducing the skill floor in PvE, right? I think they're considering they're dumbing down all the classes and just simplifying anything. I mean, for example,
wait.
What?
You mean that you mean the changes to Druid and how it's like even more boring to play than it was before?
Well, it is going, well, that's certainly part of it, right? With stuff like Druid, but this has been going on for a long time, right? Like they've done the same with Mesmer, with Druid. There's a hell of a lot of the DPS classes as well, right? It's becoming like ultra face roll, kind of across the board. I mean, an incredibly powerful build right now, which got changed, which was the Herald, right? Like Heal Herald. Now that got reworked quite significantly, and now it's the most AFK and quite powerful thing ever, to be honest. Like what you can do is
I have been playing Heal Herald in PvP.
No,
and it is so bad. It's okay.
Are you playing the bunker?
That I'm doing Well, no. Two options: Salvation Herald, and then either you go Retribution, which is the bunker version, or you could go Devastation or Salvation. Technically, you could really use anything except for Corruption. But I like Devastation as another option. It's less bunker. You still have a ridiculous amount of bunker, but it's better because it pumps out might, which it lets you actually take down people if you wanted to. But yeah, it's kind of it's a weird thing in that you could be as bad as me, 1 million heal in a game.
It does heal a lot. It really does heal a lot, and it applies an insane amount of boons
carry
too.
an entire team being a very bad player.
Yeah, I mean that's. I'm not sure how effective it is in PvP. I think it does. Do you not find it kind of?
No, if you're
it's
high level people, I don't know, but this is not ranked. I'm just
Yeah.
making that point right
Okay.
now. Yeah, so in ranked, you probably have a little more trouble because people know to go after you specifically if you're killing the entire team, and you have to somehow survive. But you could, in unranked, easily carry an entire team just for fun.
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
play.
I think it can certainly be very high impact if people don't know how to take you down, and if they can't focus targets, I think especially on the bunker build, it will be very, very difficult to kind of finish you off. But I mean, when I was talking about like the kind of the AFK-ness, I was mostly talking about like raids here. Like if you literally just like staff auto attack on that build and then just sit and glint a little bit and then sometimes go Inventari, you just get permanent protection, vigor, fury, swiftness, might, and protection just by AFKing on 10 people. Like that is insane. And they did this with spirits as well. They made Stone Spirit 10 target, and that was, you know, also kind of ridiculous. It was like every boon in the game permanently. They had this with, well, to be fair, they did nerf Chaos Chrono, but you know, that really had it coming. But in a way, we've kind of got Chaos Chrono. We never really lost it. Like now it's just on a different class. And I think that, you know, the game has certainly got a lot easier. And you know, it's starting to feel very, very bland and very, very boring. I think a lot of these classes make raids very uninteractive, and even worse, I think that people are getting really hard pigeonholed into almost like a holy trinity, which I think is something that Guild Wars 2 did such a fantastic job of not having, right? And I think we are marching towards it, actually, maybe for the purposes of familiarity or something like that, or whatever it is that, you know, you come from another MMO, you kind of expect it. But you know, it's pretty depressing actually. Like, you know, we're getting a lot of support memes going about the place, and it's just, you know, it kind of sucks. It is pretty unfortunate. And yeah, it's true that, you know, we've kind of always had this. We've always had a lot during Warwick Chrono Trinity since day one. I mean, are you depressed? No, I'm not depressed. You know, it's just it's not.
It's true though. It's true. Nike's right. I mean, it's been that way since day one of raids.
No, exactly. I think they were
more or less.
They were more hybridized, right? Like Chrono, Chrono was not exactly it was a tank, right? But it wasn't fully a tank, and that's the one thing that I do actually really like about the balance right now. That Chrono is not just a tank. Chrono is a damage dealer as well. I do really like that quite a lot. The fact that it is a bit more of a hybrid role, but I think the stuff is. It is becoming less hybrid and more specialized as time goes on, and I think that maybe, I don't know, that's just a bit less interesting for me. But I don't know, like I would love to see just damage in raids just taken down by like 50%. Okay, like, oh, that would actually, I would probably play raids again at that point. Okay, I would honestly play raids again.
Though, what's interesting is that I remember a TeaTime not too long ago, maybe a year ago or something like that, where we were, I think all of us, actively saying we want to have builds that are easier to play, more face rolly, so that people who aren't very good at raids can get into it and start playing and having fun.
Yeah,
but
and
that's
now,
always
you're like ruining the fact that that's happened.
Well, yeah, but they've taken our good builds though. I mean, they're doing it to everything though, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like from day one, you had face roll Revenant that had you just pressed 1 basically. So you always had an easy class that required no brain. I know because I played them all. You always had a class that required no brain thought. That's why I love those classes. But there's other people out. But there's other people out there like Teapot who want a class that they can actually become skillful at and be rewarded for that. And the game is doing a lot less of that, I think, over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that instead of making some classes easier and some classes harder, they're kind of making all the classes really easy, you know, as well. That's kind of the thing I would say there. But yeah, some people, people do refuse to play the super easy shit as well, you know, like they have these builds, you know, like, you know, I don't know, like Dwayne reaching down from the heavens to the plebs and say, "Oh, look, play heel necro, play heel necro." If it were just, don't do it. It is becoming quite mainstream though, which is pretty funny actually. It's much to the annoyance of certain groups of players. Actually, they hate the fact that everyone is playing heel necro now. I find it incredibly funny. But I know in PvP, to go, but steer it back to the issue we were talking about PvP, not necessarily raids, but I don't like the game being power crept to the point, especially in terms of CC. I think like the CC creep is absolutely insane. Okay, if you get hit by one crowd control, you are dead. Okay, if you're playing against people who kind of know what they're doing. Okay, if you get hit by one stun, GG. Okay, that's it. You're done. Right? You're fucked. Pretty much. Like if they do, if they connect your burst and if you can't get away from it, if you don't have a stun break or anything like that, you're fucked. Okay, and I think the game being that punishing is okay, I guess, but I just don't think it's really that good for new players. I think it's very frustrating, particularly for new players and players who are kind of learning the game and getting into it and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna lie, it is. Sometimes I find myself just doing something incredibly disgusting, right? I see a target, right? I fear him, okay? Then for 2 seconds, okay, right? And then I get him with another fear on my garish pillar. That's another 2 seconds, okay? And then I knock him down with Torch 5. That's a 6-second stun right there. It's like, oh, that guy had a fun gameplay experience. And the thing is, if they don't have a stun break, there is nothing they can do about that. Like they just die, right? They're fucking dead now, okay? The same thing can obviously happen to me. It can happen to anyone, right? And I think that's a very frustrating experience. Like the ability to fully chain CC someone and kill them immediately is a little bit, maybe not the best thing, particularly for new players. I think also the burst meta is not ideal. I think there are some murmuring about actually toning some of this stuff down. To be fair, I think it is going to get nerfed down a fair bit actually in the future. Stuff like Rev and Core Guard has been hit already, but honestly, it does come down to this issue that Boots is talking about, where everything is extremely strong, right? Like every single class, every single ability, every specialization is just super, super, super powerful, right? And as a result of that, it'll be very difficult to adjust all of it. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear what your guys. What would you do if you're ArenaNet? Like, how do you untangle this mess? Do you have to just like drop the ultimate hammer of a balance patch? Okay, let's go.
Step 1: make objects no longer critable. Step 2: make a cap on all Condi damage stacks. Bring it back to pre the Tequatl change.
Wow, I like that actually. That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Okay, all right. We can.
People hated that before.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know what I think PvP actually needs? I think Graveling burrows should spawn on the points and contest them while people are capturing them. And then they just have to do a mini event and kill Gravelings.
Yeah, and if you kill the Gravelings, then you get the point.
You can't crit the burrow either.
Okay, so it can't be crit. All right, nice. But in all seriousness, though, like what are we going to do about this? Like, how can ArenaNet fix this? Like, my dream will be that they just drop like the balance patch hammer. Okay, but how would you guys feel about this? Okay, now this is a hot take. Okay, for PvP and World vs. World, this is a very hot take here, guys. Okay, and maybe it's too hot. It might be too fiery, and it's going to get dropped. But I think that certain elite specializations should be nerfed to the point of being useless in certain game modes. Okay, real. For example, I think Scourge has absolutely no place in World vs. World. Right? I just don't think it should exist. It should not. Yes. No.
How am I supposed to get all those easy free kills?
Scourge is just an inherently broken, like, it's design, right? I think we need to stop talking about balance a little bit and talk about design, right? Scourge is inherently broken in World vs. World, okay? Its ability to, at range, cast all of its damage and around itself at the same time, okay? And it has wells, and it also barriers itself and cleanses its team, right? all while being at like 1200, 1000 range on the shades, okay, is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, that is absurd.
I mean, I'm out of thumbs. Everything sounds great. I don't
in that
see
game
a
mode,
problem.
right? In World versus World, I would even go as far to say that the design of Scourge is not workable. Okay, can it work in PvE? Absolutely, it's fine. I would even say it's fine in PvP. To be honest, I think maybe the fear trait is a bit gnarly, but other than the fear trait, you know what? Okay, we can allow Scourge in PvP as well. We can allow that, right? We can allow that. But I think that there's so many problems that Scourge is causing in World versus World in particular, and in a way, I would say that the same is true for Firebrand as well. Like Firebrand is just. Some of these classes are designed in a way that is inherently problematic, right? Is what I think, okay? Having shades is problematic. Having insane power spikes that just cover your entire subgroup in boons, okay, and stability is, again, that's a really big problem for World versus World. Like, being able to have massive power spikes like that is just a really big problem. Look what they had to do to it in PvP, right? In PvP, they added 50% to the cooldown of the tomes, basically, in PvP. And it's still amazing, right? And it's just because of the inherent design of the specialization is just so powerful, right?
Whatever happened to that idea we had a long, long time ago of turning the shades into interactable things, kind of like the spirits from the Revenant?
That might be a pretty good solution, actually. But I'm not sure if it would really help that much. Well, I think it could definitely work, actually. It really could work. Especially if they got killed really quickly. So if you tried to shade bomb someone, they would die. Now, the trouble with that is that you can still kind of get your main corrupt spike off, which would probably be a bit of a problem. But I can definitely see something like that working, right? I could change like that. Could be good.
And then you could have them be... I think this is also something we talked about. Have them interact with minion traits.
So you can, if you take death magic, the shades become stronger and have more health.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see it. We can make something like that work. But I don't know. That would also be quite a nice change because it wouldn't really affect PvE, and it probably wouldn't affect PvP that much either. Because if your shade dies, you're not that upset, but you are really, really upset in
PvE, they take 95% less damage anyway. So
yeah, and nothing's gonna kill them, right? They're not gonna get killed.
Exactly.
But
all right, so we just solved Scourge, everybody. Congratulations to us.
Well, I'm honestly not even sure if that would be enough though for World versus World. You could still the main thing in World versus World is that you can still have it around yourself as well, so you can hit 10 targets with it. You're gonna have a lot of shades. A lot of shades are gonna be up, and you can still spike people with the shades, right? Which is not gonna be great, but the issue is this is just kind of across the board, right? Now
says Death Nova on Shade Destruction. That sounds good.
Yeah, well, that would be pretty cool. Actually, that would be nice. That would be some good roleplay there. Actually, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It would be some good roleplay factor, right? 100%. You're gonna apply barrier and boons to them. Ooh, yeah, that would be fun. Feed from corruption gives your shades boons, and then they distribute the boons to your allies or something like that. That would be kind of cool. No,
does World vs. World even get balanced for very often? Like these balance patches that happen, the one we just had, does it even really affect World vs. World at all? I feel like at 80 to 90% of the time it has almost no effect.
Yeah,
like World vs. World just never changes.
Hold on, every once in a while there is a change, specifically World vs. World because of some sort of egregious thing. Like for instance, the Winds of Destruction. Or Winds of Disenchantment.
Yep.
They changed it completely. So yeah, every once in a while there is some small change that is specifically for World versus World to affect it greatly. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't really get that much attention. Because I always feel like World versus World is supposed to be like an anything goes kind of, and they kind of just want to let it be. As much as possible, and
yeah, they've been letting it be since 2012. That's the problem.
It is an issue. I don't know, but they restructured. Who knows? They're gonna maybe put some more people on World vs. World and finally get that alliance idea going, and maybe finish soon. And if they do that, they're probably gonna do a huge balance patch beforehand.
Well, you might think that, but to be honest, I'm not even sure if that would happen. like World versus World changes just don't really happen, and a lot of work needs to be done. Like World versus World is the least balanced game mode. I think it's the game that has the biggest clown fiesta, and that really comes through actually this week as well. Like, to be fair, I'm not on the most active or like high octane server, but as I understand it, it has happened on other servers as well. Like, it's the no downstate week, right? There's no downstate in World versus World right now, and it has turned World versus World into the biggest snooze fest ever. Unfortunately,
What are you insane? What?
We lost Brazil.
Oh no!
And now we've been distributed. Yeah, we've been horrifically malformed now.
Brazil will be back, but you say it's a snooze fest. I say it's freaking awesome because as a scourge, I just kill. it's like playing. I don't know, like with the new DayZ with all the zombies where you just mow them down. Yeah, playing scourge with no downstate. It's just like you're just killing all these people in a large Zerg, and it's awesome.
This makes me really want to go with a Berserker and Arc Divider into a Zerg.
That will be good. Okay, that will 100% be good. You can just destroy people. You'll just completely one-shot people with Berserker. I can definitely see that working out extremely well for you. But what I mean about it being a snooze is that it just shows you how ranged the meta really is. Like, people just don't really attack each other. They just kind of pick away at each other from range constantly, right? At least on the server I'm playing with. And people don't really want to fight. They're kind of scared, and they just run around in circles in fear. And I don't know, that to me that's just not really a good time. And the thing is, like, all you do is kind of just like one shot people and spike them, right? You just spike them down. And it's very spammy. It's very clown fiesta. And with any luck, it will get addressed. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if
the no downstate is only for the weekend anyway. But.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised if there was some concerns with maintaining balance for 3 game modes, right? You know what I mean? I really wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And because we only really see balance for 2 game modes, and sometimes it even feels like there's basically changes directed only at 1 game mode a lot of time, and that's okay, right? It's okay to have a PvP balance patch, it's okay to have a PvE balance patch, but I really do think we need a World versus World balance patch as well, particularly when alliances come out as well, you know. And I really do think that design of specializations needs to be taken into account as well. I just think that some beasts just shouldn't exist in certain game modes. It's fine if every spec is good in PvE, because at the end of the day, okay, a raid boss isn't going to get upset with you if you're really annoying, right? If you're, wow, you're playing such an annoying build. The boss isn't going to get mad at you, right? Okay, but if you're playing fucking like power block chaotic interruption mesmer, okay, in PvP, right, with fucking Gravwell and shit, yeah, that's incredibly unfun to play against, right? It's just not fun. Like, if you're ever thinking, like, if I take my hands off the keyboard, it makes no difference, right? If I'm actually trying to play the game right now, that's a problem.
Just dodge, man. Bring stability. What's wrong with you?
Dude, there was a game I was playing against 2 Chronos, right? Okay.
Get good.
And I dodged the first 3 gravity wells, okay, but they got me with the 4th and killed me.
Well, you should have dodged 4 times.
We actually won that game, actually, to be fair. we did win that game eventually. But my goodness, that moment made me want to stop playing, okay? It really did. Like, that's not fun. It's not good. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you should have been playing Flamethrower NG, and then you just...
yeah, then you get the pulsing stability, right? So then that shuts down the Gravwell.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice. The new meta now because of those mesmers.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That's some good shit. Mm-hmm. It's the new meta. But I don't know. For example, I just don't think Mirage probably shouldn't really exist in PvP. Just shouldn't, right? It's annoying. No one likes playing against it. Nobody likes playing against Mirage, okay? It's AIDS. It can dodge while doing anything, okay? It's really hard to lock down and really hard to kill. It's not fun. Not even other Mirages enjoy playing against Mirages, okay? No one likes it, okay? No one enjoys playing against it, right?
I kind of do.
Yeah? Why?
Well, with my Stoneheart and Ellie, it was an auto win every time, basically, against Mirage.
The power build?
No, the Condi Stoneheart Ellie build that I had.
Yeah, but into a power Mirage, right?
Yeah. Or a Conde Mirage even, because you have lots of Conde Clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, obviously, it's not good against things that are bunkery because you can never kill them, but Mirages are fine.
Yeah. Just in general, like, Ellie is pretty good into it, I guess. But I mean, is it actually still fun though? I mean, I don't know. I guess you can.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. Is it still fun? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Is structured PvP fun at all?
Ranked can be a true tale. Okay, it's like a roller coaster, right? Like sometimes it's gonna be like, yes, we're winning all these games, feels good, man. Okay, but sometimes you're gonna win games that feel like losses, and then you're gonna lose games that really feel like losses. You know, that's kind of how I describe PvP. I think that there are 3 categories: like win-wins, where you feel like you're a winner. Okay, lose-wins, where you feel like you're a loser even though you won the game. Okay, and then there's like the mega losers, right? Like the oh boy, that was a fun game, wasn't it? And I think that, well, I don't know. I don't mind PvP. I think it's okay. You just have to kind of... The way I like to do it is just completely forget about the previous game and try and push that out of your mind and then just go into the next one fresh, right? That's what you want to do.
Do you usually duo queue?
Yes, I would never solo queue in the current meta.
Yeah, I've been solo queuing. Solo queue is hell.
It's soul crushing. But I'm always a winner in structured PvP because you get pips.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true, actually. So even if you lose, you still get rewarded,
even
right?
when you lose the match, you're still a winner.
Yeah.
I get my participation trophy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. It's good.
My mom brings me some orange slices and juice because I played a hard game.
Okay.
And everything's all good.
Nice.
Yeah, and you just get those pips and you just get that cash, get those rewards, get that reward track going. It's good. You know what they should do? They should add Gift of Battle to PvP as well. Or like Gift of PvP. And you have to do that for a legendary.
Sure.
And the only way to do it is by... Actually, no, that wouldn't work because you can just do your PvP dailies in like a hot join, right? An AFK.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
man, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Oh, my goodness. What a disaster.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about next? PvP, we've decided, is okay. World versus World, we decided needs more love. PvE, overpowered. What else?
Well, to be honest, what I really want, and I think a lot of people want, is just a shake-up, right? I want to see a shake-up to the way the game is played. As it stands right now, entirely. As it stands right now, the game is... I could log out of Guild Wars 2, okay? I could come back in a year, and I reckon the balance will be basically identical. Okay?
More or less. Yeah, like the game... The problem at this point, because it's such an old game that sees... It's such an old game is a weird term. It's an age... It's a mediocrely aged game. I don't know how else to say that. The game's been solved at this point. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But the game's been solved at this point, and balance doesn't change the game enough that you can't take a break, come back.
So you're saying
everything's fine.
We need 9 more classes, is what you're saying?
No. Shake, like Teapot says, just do a cataclysmic balance shake-up, change the runes and sigils, change the food, like...
Go back.
There's so much food is like useless, right? Like,
yeah.
I think that the best way to do this, the best way, and maybe the only way you're going to get this done, okay, is by actually new elite specializations. Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's the only way you're going to get this done. It's the only way you're going to get this done, to be honest.
Agreed.
And because I simply don't think that ArenaNet is going to have the resources to actually do this properly, right? I don't think we're going to actually see them go back and fix stuff. This is something that ArenaNet has historically been pretty bad at, is actually fixing problems that already exist. They typically try and build on top of it and hope it kind of goes away, if that makes any sense, right? Like that's kind of the process they go through. Instead of fixing power levels, they just bring everything up to the same level, right? Like they hard buff Scrapper, hard buff Tempest. Instead of nerfing down stuff like Firebrand or changing the design of it. What's weird, okay, is that they're very happy to rework stuff like Berserker, right? But why not rework Firebrand? Why not rework Scourge? They did it with Deadeye, but why not tackle the issues? Like, it's kind of hilarious. Like, I've just thought about this, guys, okay? they are reworking specializations, right? They can do it, right? We can agree on that.
Mhm.
But they only
They did say they are going to continue doing it, right?
Yeah, but look, what have they reworked so far? They've reworked like Scrapper, okay,
Rev.
Tempest a little bit, Rev, okay, Deadeye, and Berserker. Is that basically all of them?
Or not Deadeye, the Daredevil.
Well, yeah, Daredevil. They didn't they do Deadeye as well though? I guess they just changed it, but they didn't exactly rework it, right? They just changed it, but
Yeah, but they didn't rework Daredevil. They just changed Steel. Yeah,
but they're changing all the things that don't. Oh yeah, they did Mesmer. Oh fucking hell. Okay,
they completely reworked Mesmer.
Yeah. But they
and Herald.
But they reworked this stuff that wasn't really that important, right? The Mesmer Phantasms was important, to be fair, and that was actually a much better change.
I think what
why-
they're doing is they're reworking the things that people don't like as much to make people like them more, and not reworking the thing that people like, even if they might be a little bit too powerful, because people like them. And if they rework something to something they like less, that's not good for the game necessarily. Even though it's too powerful and it would be good to get a nerf of some kind, reworking it to be a nerf is not good.
I think reworking it to be a nerf is probably the best thing they could do, because it might not feel like a nerf. If they can make it feel, if they can make the class feel fun to play.
Sorry, I disagree with you entirely there, because it's okay for something to feel like a nerf if it's just a nerf. But if you're reworking the entire class to nerf it, you're like changing the way something. You're changing how it plays for people. Even if people like the way something plays, and then you change the way it plays, and it feels bad and is worse, that's like doubly wrong.
Well, you make it feel better, because for example, now I think
But
the way,
is worse.
but is worse. Yeah, sure. Because look at the way they nerf Firebrand. Firebrand unequivocally now feels worse to play in every fucking game mode. Why? Because they made all of the abilities basically slightly more shit, and they added 50% cooldowns onto everything, okay? Like, how is that fun? How is that more fun to play, right? Why not actually rework it? Nerf it, okay? And rework it instead. Instead of just like slapping on cooldowns so you feel completely useless, okay, for about half the fight, why not make it so you can feel impactful throughout the fight, but nerf the abilities, okay? Smaller power spikes, okay, but more of them, so you can actually do stuff.
That's just nerfing the abilities.
No, not nerfing the. I think that Firebrand. One of the ideas I had for Firebrand was making it work like Thief, right? You can swap between tomes anytime you like, but you get pages like charging up like initiative or something like that, right? And each page costs a certain amount of initiative instead. Like, rework it to something like that instead of the way it is right now. Like, the only reason why Firebrand is still around is not because like, Firebrand can exist even with these insane cooldowns. Like, the Tome 3 is a 75-second cooldown. Why can it exist? It can exist because of how ridiculously powerful those abilities actually are and how fast the current meta is. So they nerfed down Firebrand, right? Okay. Yeah. But that actually just made it so they basically, like, the burst classes became better because now you couldn't slow the fight down nearly as much with Firebrand and Scourge, right? You can't be as much of a roadblock and 2vx as well as you could before. So what this meant is that Firebrand in a way didn't get affected by this because it didn't matter that you couldn't get your tomes back because the fights were over instantly anyway, right? So you don't even need like the extra the tome cooldowns, right? Because you just win so quickly. Like someone's gonna die, right? Really fast anyway. So it didn't really do anything. Like they nerfed Firebrand. They made it feel worse to play, and they achieved nothing, right? It didn't do anything, and that is not good. Okay, I just don't think that's good. I think just rework the stuff that's problematic, rework stuff like Scourge, okay? Because if you get rid of the problematic design classes, then you can play with the numbers, right? You can change Firebrand, and then we can nerf Herald, right? Because now Herald doesn't have to do as much damage because you can still kill people, okay? Then you can nerf Scourge a little bit so it can't like perma-fear you and kite away for an infinity and pressure around itself, okay? Give it some trade-offs, right? Give it a bit more of a trade-off, right? To being able to place these shades and put your damage there. Maybe you make it so you don't do as much damage around yourself, right? So you can't counter pressure, but it's okay because now all the other classes don't know. Hollow does less damage. Maybe Rev does less damage as well. Okay, they nerf Rampage finally, right? They get rid of Rampage because, dude, fucking hell, it really, really deserves it, right? All of these things can be changed, but like they have to get rid of these problematic designs here. Don't skirt around the issue. They are running away right now. They are just picking at things that aren't even important, okay? It's time to stop picking at things that aren't important, okay, and actually fix things that are really, really important. Stuff like Scourge design, Firebrand design, okay? To be honest, fix Rampage as well. Just nerf the damage across the board. I don't even think it's that many changes. Like, all I'm thinking is, if you nerf Firebrand Scourge damage, okay, and then maybe reduce the evade uptime on all the other classes, then that's fine, right? You're kind of okay, right? Then you can just nerf the damage of basically everything, and then the game can be more fun again. And make this so there's less CCs as well. Cut the fucking CC. No one likes that shit, okay? It's AIDS. It's not fun. No one likes it, okay? It's annoying to play against. Boom. There you go.
As a Scourge.
I think as pretty much everyone, right? Like, you're kind of in a situation where a lot of classes live and die by either their blocks or evade frames, and I think that in a way your survival should be it should be complemented by your blocks and evades, rather than it being like the only reason why you survive, right? I think it's too important right now. Being able to spam invulnerability and evade frames right now is utterly pivotal to your survival, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I would like to see that emphasis reduced, okay, to more about dodging abilities, dodging important abilities, and
I think in
kiting around
world,
and stuff like that, right?
I think in a perfect world, not less CC is important. I think in a perfect world, the things that are so impactful, like CCs, are more telling, and it'll be a lot easier to see them coming, so you can know which ones to dodge, rather than everything is dangerous.
Well, that's you just hit the nail on the head there. The trouble is that there's so much is dangerous right now. Okay, like you can dodge some things, you absolutely can, guys. Right, and don't get me wrong, there is counterplay in this current meta in PvP. Right, you can absolutely do stuff to avoid dying and mitigate damage and not get smushed, but ultimately you are going to run out of dodges eventually, because almost every ability is just lethal at this point to you. There's stuff like, Rampage is a great example of this, right? Like, okay, so first you've got to dodge the rock, okay? The rock is going to get thrown at you. And then you've got to dodge the charge. Then you've got to dodge the jump as well, okay? So those are 3 CCs. And to be honest, if you get hit by any of those, you're gonna have an unfortunate time, right? You're going to have a really, really bad time.
Have some stability, though.
Yeah.
Or blind him.
Have some stability? But they just keep CCing you, though. And then they remove your boons as well. And the thing is, right, so then you waste all your dodges on the Rampage, right, and then they just hit you with some of their warrior abilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rampage is strong. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I don't know. That's just that seems. I think, in my opinion, that's quite a prevalent thought in a lot of in a lot of matches, and one of the reasons why, in a way, Firebrand is kind of mandatory in a lot of high level games is because Firebrand is very good at countering that sort of thing, right?
Having Aegis for everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it's Aegis and Aegis and stability, right? Like, one of the I think if you tone down the CC in Path of Fire, you could actually bring up other support classes without hard buffing them, right? One of the reasons why Heal Tempest doesn't see a lot of play, even though it's actually not that bad. I mean, Kran plays a very good player, very solid player, and he's played it very effectively as well. But one of the reasons it really struggles is because it can't deal with the CC in the same way that Firebrand can, right? It really struggles to handle the amount of crowd control that gets thrown out by Path of Fire specs in particular. And if you can't handle that, you kind of turn into a free kill. And even worse, it makes your Necro into a bit of a free kill as well. It's I don't know. I don't dislike the support DPS dealer combination. I think that's a good thing to have in a video game. But when you have one class that is so reliant on another to be effective, I think maybe that's slightly problematic, especially in organized gameplay. I don't know. It kind of sucks a little bit. Not entirely false, exactly. True as indeed. Well, I do. Yeah, I want to hear Boots' response on this. Okay, but I do want to kind of bring it back to the idea of changing the design of important elite specializations. What do you think about what I just said, Boots? Call me an idiot. Let's go.
You know what? You have some good points. I think you're probably right. Overall, where there needs to be a restructuring, where there needs to be an overhaul, there should be an overhaul, even if it makes the class even if it makes the class weaker, not if it makes the class feel worse to play. Because I think that of utmost importance is that each class needs to feel good to play. Like, otherwise, what are you doing? You're not playing a fun game, right?
Absolutely. No, I that is 100% real. I think in all of these things, fun needs to be taken into account, and class fantasy is important as well, right? And that's why, again, I love changes like the change to Berserker. You can really get into the roleplay, right? You're actually now Berserker going crazy, and you're slightly weaker because of the toughness loss, and you're absolutely going psycho, spinning around like crazy, just destroying people. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love that, and it should 100% be there.
I think I could see why ArenaNet has been going for these other classes, because they've heard from people, and they probably played it themselves, seeing that some of these things that they've now been changing have not been fun to play for a while. Like Ventari Heal Revenant, having to be stuck in Ventari the whole time, not very fun. So they changed Salvation to make it more spread out, hopefully, and allow people to be less reliant only on the tablet and go off of that legend every once in a while. I think they're continuing to try to make things more fun to play, but I think also possibly, to your point, they think that making everything powerful as well, and maybe that's not entirely the case.
Sorry, what you cut out a little bit.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Like, some people love the tablet and managing the tablet, but I can't stand that stupid tablet. I hate it.
Okay.
That's unfun, just having to deal with the tablet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the tablet, but you're right. Like, so that's probably why they changed up Salvation a bit, so that you're not completely relying on the tablet. Now the question is their entire philosophy just to make things more fun to play mechanically, or do they think that making things more powerful makes it more fun for people to play them? And maybe that's why you think everything's too powerful now, because that's what they've been doing this whole time.
And I think this is where feedback gets really weird. For example, whenever Ellie gets nerfed and stuff like that, or when Mesmer gets nerfed, people immediately start crying and say that, the design is terrible, it feels different, right? But a lot of the time for Mesmer in particular, and a bit with Ellie as well, actually, it was identical to play. Right? But people were saying that it feels different, but it was actually identical. That your rotation was like one skill different for PvE Mesmer, right? Okay, I was thinking about that. It was like, oh, you do this first instead, right? Or you do that, you do this. And people would still complain about it. And the Ellies, dude, the Ellies were crying so fucking hard, okay, about the nerf. Even though it barely changed it, right? You just like press lava font a bit more, right? You just press that a little bit more, right? Didn't change it that much. It really didn't, okay? But people were really upset about this because it feels different, man. It feels so bad to like be getting these low crits. But the gameplay was the same, right? It was just the damage was lower and the boon output on Chrono was lower. So in other words, the only reason that a lot of people were enjoying the game, okay, was because their class was those big numbers, and because the class was overpowered. Now, bear in mind, guys, I'm not saying that's an illegitimate way to enjoy the game, dude. That is absolutely fine, right? If you like big numbers, that is absolutely okay. Dude. I don't have a problem with that. I respect that. Dude. I love me some big numbers. Okay, right. But don't bullshit and say that it's because of the class design when it basically stayed exactly the same, right? And I think that's where the feedback gets a bit weird, because a lot of players, instead of saying that I just like big damage and Ellie is fucked because it doesn't do big damage anymore, it doesn't feel overpowered. Same with Mesmer, it doesn't feel overpowered. Okay, then just say that, right? There's nothing wrong with saying that. For example, this is what I said. When they nerfed Chaos Chrono, I was like, damn, dude, Mesmer feels so shit right now because you're just not like broken anymore, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, I said when this changed, I was playing around with it, was like, damn, dude, you feel so low impact now, okay? And that is a completely legitimate thing to say because, dude, after they nerf Chaos Chrono, yeah, you do feel low impact. You feel bloody useless, actually. But was it still really good? Yeah. Did it have it coming? Yeah. And did it play any different? No. Okay, that's the important thing. It didn't change the rotation, really. It didn't really change anything about Mesmer. You just didn't play Mimic anymore, basically, which is, which was a bit silly anyway, really, let's be honest. So that's the thing. Players will proxy and say that it's because of the design that they don't like the change, but actually it's because it's not overpowered anymore. And that's okay, I guess. But But the trouble with that is that sometimes the feedback gets really lost when you're talking about if it's just the strength of the class or the design of the class, right? So, and the player base, I think, is not very good at drawing a distinction. For example, I think a good example of this would be Druid. Now, Druid has had its design pruned really hard over the years. Like, you don't have Grace of the Land anymore. You don't have Glyph of Empowerment. Now, in my opinion, that's a legitimate conversation to be had about the design of the class. I feel that Druid, with this patch, is very homogenized now. They've buffed its healing and removed its last offensive buff, right? Now, was its offensive buff particularly interesting? Should it have been more interesting? Yeah, sure. I can definitely get behind that. I think they could have done a bit better. I think Grace of the Land, for example, was a pretty solid mechanic, actually. Your healing increases the damage of people you heal. Yeah, I can see that being a bit more interesting than Glyph of Empowerment. But then again, Glyph of Empowerment had depth. You use it when your team is bursting, right? Not when they're not in their burst phase. There was a bit of stuff to it, right? But what I don't like is I think Druid is still really strong, by the way. It's not weak. It's very, very good still. In fact, for a lot of groups, it made me better because they significantly buffed the support capabilities, right? With the new glyph, I think is really good. And you have more healing now as well. Considerably more healing, actually. And that's okay. But what I don't like about it is how they're streamlining the design and switching over from unique modifiers to boons, all on 10 targets, right? Now, everything with 10 targets inherently makes things a bit busted right off the bat, right? It makes it a bit OP because think how good that is, right? If you can apply 25 might to 10 people, that's 250 stacks of might. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of might, guys. What is that? Is that like 15,000 stats, right? I think I want to say something like that. Is that because that's 25 times 10, and then you by 70, right? Oh my god. Oh, I know, 60 actually, right? Yeah, 60. Yeah, 30. It's 30 power. That's fucking good, dude.
Again, this is one of those things that, once again, on a previous tea time, we were arguing that this was a good thing, not a bad thing. We were saying
we were not arguing for that.
A while ago, we were saying that it is better to have 10 target buffs so that you don't have to have 2 of the same class in every raid. You don't have to have... we definitely argued that.
We were talking about unique buffs, not boons, though. Like having banners 10 target. Oh god, I don't know. Like in a way, it kind of in a way, if we did say that, we were kind of wrong because it kind of kicks the problem away, right? It gets rid of the problem temporarily, but it comes back, right? You offset it for a while, but then you realize that's actually insanely overpowered. The whole point of the business was to streamline the buffs. You're actually, base is right here, but I think that's inherently a dangerous thing. To talk a little bit of nostalgia here, guys. Anyone who's played Guild Wars 1 probably is aware of the enchantment and hex system, right? Now, this felt really cool because there were so many different interactions between all of these buffs and debuffs, right? And that was a really, really cool thing. And I don't disagree that maybe it was a little bit too far because there were just so many buffs and debuffs in the game, right? It was actually crazy. But the idea of fully streamlining everything down, I think, is pretty bad. But no, Boots, you might be right there, and I do agree that 10 target for some stuff is definitely a good idea.
I think that unique buffs are important to the game. I think that everybody should have a unique buff, and the fact that some classes do and some classes don't, and a unique buff that is distinct, similar but distinct in that they are equally wanted in a raid is important for some reason. But those should be 10 targets, obviously, and we don't have that right yet. So eventually maybe we will, and that's why you'd have a reason to bring every single class to a raid. But right now it's just you could have every single class in a raid because all of them are okay right now.
Yeah, and I don't know. To be honest, I think arguing about the PvE meta is a bit of a non-issue because, in my opinion, if you're talking about raid meta, everything.
So you're specifically talking about world versus world, then?
Well,
because PvP is 5v5, so things doing 10 targets doesn't matter.
No, I am talking about raids, but the thing is, always in the back of my mind where you have this conversation. It's interesting. I love having this conversation, especially with people like Boots, who's a mega IQ theory crafter. Okay, but in the back of my mind, there's this voice saying it doesn't matter. Raids are easy. It's it doesn't matter what class you play. It's irrelevant. You know that you know what I mean? Like all of this, I think that the classes should purely be balanced for fun and for flavor, right? Because to be honest, no matter what you do, okay, no matter what flavor you add, raids are still going to be so easy that you can play any class that you want, regardless of anything that happens. If that makes any sense, right? It's really easy, right? The only way I honestly think, Boots, okay, that even if you took every DPS class, right, and every boon class, and you literally sliced everything in half, raids would still be insanely easy, right? Like even if you did that,
everything in half, raids would still be easy.
Yeah,
like even your health.
Even your health, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It probably would still be easy. Like, okay, if you had half health, then I'm not gonna lie, Desmina CM would be pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, that would be rough. But I think even if you did that, I think it would still be pretty fine, right? Increase Vol and Might Cap to 100. Oh, nerf potency to 25%. Well, something like that could potentially work actually, because then you'd actually have to put a bit of effort in. But okay, so with regards to like the boon thing though, Boots. So with the 10 target thing, now I definitely think that 10 target is fine, right? But I feel that the effort that you have to put in to get 25 might and perma every boon in the game is too low.
It's gone
right?
now.
It's gone. Yeah.
But over the last year or so, every single class is now able to stack 25 might essentially on everybody.
Yeah. But also what I don't like about that is that say Druid, right? Let's take Druid as an example. Or Heal Ellie. Let's compare Heal Ellie. Heal Ellie can do 25 might, yeah? Okay?
Yeah.
Heal Ellie can do permanent Fury.
Yeah.
Can do permanent Regen.
Yeah.
Permanent Vigor.
Mm-hmm.
Permanent Protection.
Yeah, okay.
And Swiftness as well a little bit, because, throw that in there.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? So that's one class that can provide those boons permanently. Right? And then we have another class, Druid, that can do the same. We have Druid, permanent 25 might, has permanent Fury. It's not as good at doing it as Ellie, to be fair, actually. Has permanent Protection. But it's okay. So Druid is worse at Fury, but better at Vigor, like because the Vigor is 10 target for it's a little bit 10 target with Ellie as well, actually. With I don't know. It's fucking confusing, dude. Okay, yeah. Look,
so you're saying that the support classes are doing their job and giving a good amount of support to people, letting all the roles be free based not all the roles because you still need quickness and alacrity, but the rest of the players be free to play whatever else they want for damage wise.
Yeah. Well, I suppose what I'm trying to get at is that I think playing with a Druid should be very different to playing with the Heal Ellie. Right, if that makes any sense. So yeah, you're basically yes is what I'm going to say to what you said there. So for example, make it so if you play Druid, okay, you have Might and you have Fury. You can maybe have Protection. That's a bit Druidic, isn't it? That's kind of the trees, oh wow.
Regen over Protection.
Regen as well, of course, right? Yeah. And then but you don't get Vigor, for example, right? You don't get Vigor, okay, and you don't get Stability. Right. Okay. Now, this is something. By the way, this is something that Firebrand does extremely well. Okay. This is something that Firebrand does very well. Firebrand is a great spec for PvE because playing with a Firebrand is a very different experience than playing with, say, a Heal Ellie. Right. If that makes any sense. Now, Firebrand, in my opinion, is an example of fantastic design for PvE in terms of what it does as a class. Right. Okay, because it has Aegis, and it has Stability, and it has Resistance. Those are three things that not many other classes can do. Now, I would like to see some diversity in how these boons are here. Now, I think Vigor, for example, is something that is a bit too rare, and I love that they've added it to Ventari, by the way. I think that's a great change. I think Vigor is kind of hard to get, and it really hampers certain classes, but it shouldn't be on every class, right? For example, Firebrand is not very good at doing Vigor. It can't really do Vigor on its own. Okay, but it does have Aegis and Protection and Stability, right? So it's that trade-off. Okay. Now, I think that Druid should be more offensive support, so easy 25 might, easy Fury, all that stuff. Maybe some offensive buff. You have Frost Spirit, right, for an offensive buff. Okay, something like that. Fantastic. Okay. If you play with, say, a Heal Ellie, it should be able to give you. a lot of regeneration, a lot of vigor. I think that maybe protection. Yeah, you have to have protection on Tempest, right? You know, that's fine. Okay, that's pretty okay. And it should be different though. I think you're wrong. Raids have never been more accessible. Role-playing guild have never been able to use the raid areas in our regular Friday night role-play marathons. If ArenaNet gives them a few more buffs, like 100% more damage, we can actually kill the boss or role-playing and switching our outfits. Please try to see it from someone else's point of view. Well, I don't disagree that I would love raids to be accessible, guys. Now, I know that's a bit tongue-in-cheek.
I have a question for you, Teapot, actually.
Oh, yeah. I got to stop talking, okay? I got to let my boys...
I have a question.
Yeah.
Two questions. Number one, about Rim's comment there. Have you ever tried raiding while roleplay walking?
Yes, I actually did it. Someone bet me I couldn't do Matthias while roleplay walking the entire time.
No, I mean the entire raid, though.
The entire raid? No, I haven't done the entire raid.
That's the next thing you got to do.
Oh, wow. That would be impressive, dude. That would be really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you could technically use skills to get around if you'd like to, but you have to be roleplay walking.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm talking too much. I absolutely want to let you guys come in on this. So, honestly, I'll let you guys have the final word on the issue because we got to get away from this. I could talk about like class design, and to be honest, it's not the most important thing.
I agree with you, Teapot. I agree with you, and I think they've been taking some steps in the right direction. Not necessarily with the diversity of all the boons, but at least with the diversity of quickness and alacrity, they've started to move towards allowing Firebrand to do the role if they wanted to, and Revenant do the role if they wanted to. So yeah, diversity in boons and boons locked away behind certain classes is kind of nice. But I feel like maybe they just don't think of might. 25 stacks of might, pretty much anybody could do it. They don't think of like regen and protection and vigor as things that are so necessary that they have to be locked away behind certain classes. I think that maybe they think that they're good to have, but they're not like be-all, end-all boons that you need, like the 25 stacks of might and quickness and alacrity. So that way they don't have to lock it behind classes because they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I guess for that, I would probably draw those distinction between like 5 target and 10 target, right? So some classes can do it 5, some can do it 10. I think, for example, Firebrand cannot do 10 target regen, right? It can't do 10 target, but it can do 5 target. But it has all the other stuff packaged in with it, right? So, for example, Druid, Ellie and Ellie can't really do 10 target regen that effectively, to be fair. And Druid can do 10 target regen. So, I mean, I think that's they've actually got a pretty good setup there. Like having to distribute your regen sources is really nice. And I think another example of this is Heal Scourge. Heal Scourge is a fantastic example of this, right? Of having a very different support, right? Its playstyle is unique, right? And playing, you'll know if you've got a heal necro in your group, you know, one way or another, you're going to know. So I think that's another example of great design. But I suppose that the thing that concerns me is that just some of the support classes are becoming homogenized, right? With them, in particular, with the core boons are being made completely the same, right? There's a point where it's going to feel identical playing with a heal Ellie and playing with a druid, and that kind of is a bit sad to me.
But anyway, I mean, obviously the play style is going to be different, right? You don't play an Ellie like you play a druid, although they have the same benefits. They play differently. Yeah. But
I should clarify that.
I think you're right that it's not great. It doesn't seem great as a design perspective if everything has the same net result. But at the same time, you're fighting against the idea that if you want to have a support class, a new support class to be any kind of useful in a raid, you got to let it have similar abilities to be able to replace a support class that's already defined in the meta, right?
I mean, yeah, but then I think you can.
It's got to bring the same stuff to the table if it's going to replace something.
Not necessarily. Yeah, if it's going to replace something, but you can have. If you think of it as like a big puzzle, right? You can have different pieces of it, right? And they all slot together, right? So X class works really well with X class. Y class works really well with Z class, right? You know, like
that's great, and I like that they have started to do that a little bit with Rev and Firebrand, bringing the little puzzle pieces, but it's hard, you know, like that's another barrier to raiding. If you do that, having to, every time you want to do a raid scenario, every time you want to get a group together, have to put together a puzzle instead of an easy puzzle to make a group. It's better design wise. I agree, but it's worse for the player base in a way.
This is a meaty issue. This is a meaty owl leg. Okay, right here, guys. Now, you are completely right here, Boots, and this is why I really feel like I'm, absolutely fighting against the tide here, right? Like, there's this kind of thing is going to be very difficult for ArenaNet to implement because people just won't do it. And you see that, right? Like, even though Firebrand Renegade, 1 Chrono is probably the best support core at this point, right? In for most groups, I would actually say it's probably better, okay? In a lot of instances. But people aren't going to play that because it's more puzzle pieces, right? Like, a Chrono works well in every group. A Druid works well in every group. A Warrior works well in every group, okay? A Quickness Firebrand doesn't work without a Renegade, right? It just doesn't work. You're not going to be that useful without that, because you need the Alacrity to compensate for you not being a Chrono. Heal. Well, actually, no. Heal Ellie can work in every group, actually, but never mind. It is. It's heal. No, the boon, the Might God Ellie is a very good build. Really underplayed. Should definitely see some more play. Oh, dude, Boots, this comp. Holy shit. Okay. Holy shit. Okay. This is what you do. Okay. You play Chrono, Firebrand, Renegade. And then you have Might God Ellie. Oh, man. It's probably going to be heal Might God Ellie as well. So, like, heal Dagger Warhorn Ellie. Oh.
By the way, I think I have a tweet from, like, a year ago that says exactly that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But it's never come to fruition for me, at least.
Well, it has now. Like, they've buffed that to the point where it's really good, I think, It's really crazy. Yeah. You can read entire books why people don't change from previous current because they're boring, Neok. Okay? They are boring. They don't play the game for fun. They play it because they want the rewards.
Change.
Yeah. I know, it's sad, and I like change. I love variety. I love all these funky builds you can play. It's difficult to get it going there. And to us, Booch, you got me, right? You got me good there. You won that debate. I can't beat you in that debate.
All right.
It's gonna be a really tough thing.
I agree. I would love for the classes to fit together like puzzle pieces. That would be great. But for the ease of entering into a raid together, it's too you don't want the getting a raid group together to feel like the raid itself.
Oh no, I completely get you, and if that is the case, I suspect it is. By the way, why are ArenaNet's going in this direction? I completely, I have to concede that. Even though it's inferior design wise for the community, I can actually agree. For the raid community, I can 100% see that these changes, a bit of streamlining and some more homogenization of classes, is better for the community, and it will cause them to see more play. I cannot debate that. But what I can say is that for me, it takes away a lot of the flavor and a lot of the fun. But
I agree.
That's me, right? That's me. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to clarify about the feeling different playing with the Firebrand. I kind of meant like having one on your team rather than actually playing it. I'm never going to dispute that all classes are always going to feel different, right? Celestial Avatar is different to Overloading, right? Say on Tempest, right? And stuff like that. And you have using Dagger Warhorn is different to using Staff on Druid, of course, right? But the issue I have is that I would, if you covered up, okay, so in the squad window, right? Imagine if you covered up that Druid icon. I think it would almost be difficult to tell if you had a Druid or a heal Ellie if you couldn't see them, right? If that makes any sense. If you couldn't, but the thing is, with a Firebrand, you could 100% tell, right? If you had a Firebrand in your group. But I think we're at the point where you'd actually struggle to tell if you had a Druid or an Ellie in your group, right? Except for spirits, like ignore spirits. Okay, just pretend that you've got a spirit beast, right? You've got a spirit beast in your Ellie group, Is that not
for some reason the Ellie's running conjure weapons?
Yeah.
The point is that the net is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that for me, that sucks because even though the classes might play differently, which you guys have been talking about for the last, 20, 30 minutes is basically that, if a class doesn't bring something unique, to me, that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Because players in general are going to flock to the class that has the same net outcome that's the easiest and most brain dead to play.
You might be right. You might be right.
So if Druid is easier to play than Ellie for healing, support, whatever, they're just going to play Druid then, because the outcome is the same and it's easier to play.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
By doing so,
remember...
I think you're doing a disservice to the other choices in the other class, really, right? None of them shine enough in a particular way to make them feel special.
Yeah. Well, that brings us back to that age-old question of, if a class is harder to play, should it be slightly better than a class that's easier to play? And I don't have an answer to that. I think probably
big question.
In some ways, if you are ridiculously good at a class because it's difficult to play, it should somehow shine. But it's hard to design that properly if you want balance.
My answer to that should be that I don't think skill level should particularly impact the power level of a class. I think there should be some classes for, learning players, newer players. I think that's fine. Is there an argument that some classes should have more outplay potential that are harder to play? I think that is already the case in a way. I think, for example, in PvP, I think stuff like Rev and Thief, which are really high, they're classes that are a bit trickier to play. I think they have very, very high outplay potential. Does that necessarily make them stronger than other classes? That's a really big question to answer, right? I think Warrior is another great example of this. Like, Warrior has an incredibly high skill cap in PvP. Does that make it strictly better than other classes because a really good Warrior can outplay you extremely well? Ooh, I don't know, right? If a warrior is played perfectly, can you actually 1v2? Yes, you can. Well, I actually saw it in a tournament recently. The motherfucker, Boyce, literally 1v2'd people. Okay, that happened. And they were good players, right? But he just outplayed them, right?
But I think there's a good deal. Maybe not for everybody, but I would like to believe that for the majority of players, that there's a good deal of satisfaction that comes from outplaying the other players around you, not just in a constructed, structured PvP type way, but even in PvE raids, for example. If I'm out healing or out supporting the other supports, that makes me feel good. If I'm out damaging the other DPS, I mean, that's a constant thing, Teapot. You're racing for who does the most damage, right? If I can perfectly, there's usually only one tank anyway. There's no multi-tank fights really, but if you can excel because you're very good at the class, there's a certain amount of satisfaction that comes from that. And some of the classes in the game just don't really provide that.
I mean, that'd be a nice thing to change for sure. If that's the case, I mean, I think a lot of people find enjoyment out of every class in pushing it to the limits. Can you think of any class that really doesn't do that though? That doesn't, if you play it really well, you do better than if you just play it mediocrely?
I'm talking about noticeable differences. I think Druid doesn't really. I mean, I play Druid mostly, right? But I don't think, at least in PvE, I don't know that Druid really has that going for it, right? It's easy, straightforward. Even if you mess up, your heal and support output is really easy to catch up on or correct that mistake. You're not really going to notice it in the overall difference of the game.
I think this is why I don't play DPS classes. The chat was talking about, can you tell the difference in DPS classes? And this is why I don't play DPS, because ultimately all you're doing is removing HP from the boss. That's your job, right? And I do find that a little one-dimensional. Some people enjoy it, some people love the big numbers, and that's fine, right? I'm not saying that, I'm not bashing DPS at all. Nothing wrong with that. It's a very important role, of course, but I much enjoy playing things that are really, really high impact, right? A DPS class is you're not going to be carrying, right? A lot of the time. That's why the only DPS classes I really play are Necro and Hollowsmith. Because you're talking about having more DPS feels better, but I actually think that that's not quite right. I think having an impact on the fight feels better. And what do I mean by that? For example, if you play Hollowsmith, you might not be the highest DPS. That's true. You might not be the highest DPS. In fact, you probably won't. You won't be unless you're playing against people who are worse than you. You can excel and out DPS people if you're better than them, and that's fantastic. By the way, that's the outplay we're talking about. You can outplay people and do more damage than them. But what is good about stuff like Hollowsmith is that you are very high impact, right? You can say, okay, I'm going to CC the fuck out of this. I'm going to kill those ads, right? I'm going to blind those ads. I'm going to immobilize this ad, right? I'm going to knock this thing away. I'm going to pull this thing in, right? If you're playing Necro, okay, I'm going to epidemic and kill these ads. I'm going to barrier my team so they don't die. There are these little outplay things you can do on some of these classes, some of the less one-dimensional DPS classes that make the classes feel good and feel like you do something, right? And do some players just like big DPS? Absolutely. And you know what? I've got fucking great news. There are classes for you like that. Okay, you can play Thief. Okay, you can play Ellie, right? You can really get those big burst numbers, right? But I think having classes that have a unique impact on the fight is very important. And I think in DPS classes, ironically, I think this is actually quite a good balance. We have stuff like Guardian. Having a Guardian in your group, okay, we've got our F3 block. We've got our bulwark. Okay, we have our stability that you can bring. You can pull ads, right? You have stability, you can pull ads. So yeah, there is a huge difference between a DH and a Weaver, and a massive difference between a DH and a Weaver. So to answer that question that was asked a while in chat, okay, that's a big deal. Okay, and it's DPS classes. I actually think have a lot of variety. Okay, a lot of variety and a lot of different things they can do, lots of different gimmicks, right? Playing Daredevil on a boss with the Ecto is huge, right? If you have that Ecto, you're going to know about it, right? The detonate plasma, okay? But what I find is that the support classes are the ones that are actually suffering here. And in a way, this upsets me in particular because ultimately, I like playing support classes, right? I think support classes are the most interesting classes to play because they often have a lot of unique dynamic abilities that they can have and play reactively.
Bro could pull off those crazy reses.
Yeah. They have different boons, different ways of supporting. Barrier, you can res people up and stuff like that. You can carry your team with like AoE distortion. Oh wait, no, you can't. That sort of thing. I think support classes are really interesting there, and this is why I'm quite resistant to these changes to support classes because I think their flavor is being reduced in a way that DPS classes aren't, right? This is a really big misconception in my opinion. Like some DPS classes are very bland, right? That's true. Daredevil is a great example of this a lot of the time, right? You're just auto-attacking pretty much, okay? Or Deadeye. Deadeye is a much better example because Daredevil, actually, your steal skills are really cool. But Deadeye, you're just stab the boss right in the back and you're just going to do that. You're going to do that for a few minutes until it's dead. To me, that's not interesting. Some people it is, and you know what? Fucking do it, okay? We need some of those DPS monkeys. We need you in our groups, guys, okay? Don't you worry about that. But I think I think the most satisfying classes to play are the ones that have a unique impact on the group that you play. Trust me, you'll know if you've got a Necro in your group on, say, Slothosaur. You'll know, right? You'll know if you've got a Necro on Doom as well, actually, because of the barrier output. And even on Desmina, right? There are places where playing your choice of DPS class is absolutely massive. Okay, and that's fantastic. Okay, that's absolutely fantastic.
So I agree with you there, and I think that should be the role for support to be able to impact the raid in a substantive way in certain scenarios. Right now, which support classes have that? Do you think?
Let me think. Which support classes have the? Okay, so I'd probably say Firebrand.
Because we're talking about active ability to do that, not passive ability. Like if you're just doing your role properly for Nelly, you're giving all those boons and you're healing a lot. But that's kind of like a passive what you're doing. But what does it have to pull off something crazy in a certain scenario?
Probably Firebrand, Heal Necro. Let's see. What other support classes? I think in a way Mesmer can still do that. It can still carry you by distorting a lot of mechanics. It still has... There's a big difference between being really, really good at Chrono and being kind of a crappy Chrono. I would say Heal Ellie has it, but in a quite not the most exciting and intense way. But I think with the Rebound. Rebound's a really cool ability. Love it. Really, really cool thing to have. In a way... I mean, does Druid have this? I mean, you can carry your team on Druid as well, a little bit. With the Elite Spirit, with the Glyph, you can definitely do that, right?
So then, would you say that probably the best way for classes, if they do not overhauls, but if they do slight changes to each class, to give them some unique ability, some unique buff, maybe not make it a unique buff, but make it a unique active ability that people have to use in certain scenarios?
Yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah, stuff like that is fantastic, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, solved.
And I think some of that comes back around to boss design as well. The bosses are not designed currently in a way that encourages some of that behavior or some of that play from those classes.
Oh, that's a tough one, Inks. That is a really, really spicy one, to be honest. In my opinion, that is not entirely true. I think that the bosses do encourage this in a way. And the fact that Heal Necro is so strong and so insanely good, in my opinion, is great evidence of this, okay? Now, you can beat bosses and you can try hard and do loads of damage and go crazy, right? And that's great. But you will have a much easier time if you play with really, really OP hard carry supports, right? You're going to have a much easier time by doing that, right? Yeah. So it's... I'm not sure... When we have this conversation, and I'm not saying you're wrong here, Inks. I think you are right, certainly, in a way. I'm in really two minds about if I agree with that statement or not. Because...
But he's playing as a support, though. So as the support, it's not easier. Because you have to carry the teams.
It's because technically speaking, you only need one druid to beat raids. Okay? You play one druid, play a bunch of DPS, you beat the boss down. Okay? But would most groups have an easier time if they were playing hard support classes? Yeah, they would. So does that mean they're incentivized to do that by having an easier time and getting their loot? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Not much damage pressure? I don't know. Like, play some pugs on Matthias, right? Play some pugs on Matthias. People are going to go down all the time. People play some pugs on Zera. People are going to go down all the time. Okay, you could prevent that if you were playing Heal Firebrand or Heal Ellie or something. Then they wouldn't go down anymore, right? So does that mean you're incentivized to do it? Like this, I don't know. This sort of thing is really difficult to talk about because what do you mean by incentivize? In a way, I think the community just doesn't fully appreciate the game in a way. Like, these builds are out there and you can play them. And they are insanely good. They're really powerful, right? They're incredibly powerful. But people just don't play them because they think the fight doesn't need it. I mean,
because you don't quantify, like, you have damage meters. Everybody has a damage meter, essentially, if you're raiding. You don't really quantify the support you bring. You only quantify the damage you do. That's the only thing people really see. Only when things are going wrong do you say something's wrong with support, not if things are going right.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, right? I think the community is very DPS centric, which is problematic, right? Of course, but I think what I'm trying to say is that even though it's not strictly necessary to play with these support classes, I think the fights do kind of nudge you and say, hey, you could play this build. It would make it a hell of a lot easier, right? It would make it a hell of a lot easier. And I think Guild Wars 2 being such a complicated game is actually a bit of an arrow to the knee here, right? It's a bit shooting itself in the foot because of how you need to, how unsimplified and how non-straightforward, okay, Guild Wars 2 is. I think it doesn't make it clear how good some of this stuff is, right? I think if you didn't know what you were doing a lot, would it be immediately apparent to you why Firebrand is so insanely powerful on stuff like Kadim? Would it be immediately obvious? Maybe not. But do I think that most groups would benefit from having a heal Firebrand on Kadim? I absolutely would, okay? Because it turns out Aegis and stability and resistance are really fucking good on that fight. So, and I think Wing 6 is very good at doing this, like having very specialized things that can be handy, but it's true in other places as well, actually. Like having resistance on Sloth is great, having resistance on Zera is great, on Matthias is great, stability on Samrog is really good, Aegis on Demos is really good. Like, it's not like these fights aren't designed with this, it's just that people don't do it, right? And they don't do it because it's a vicious cycle. So I think it's what the chat was talking about. I think Boots was talking about this as well, and Inks was talking, well, we were all talking about this. People just don't like to adapt and don't like to change, okay? They want to play one thing everywhere, okay? And even though stuff like some classes are incredibly good and make fights very, very easy, it doesn't appear to motivate them to play it because they'd have to gear something else, right? And that's fine. If people don't want to gear, so they don't have alts geared, that's completely okay, and I understand it. But I don't like saying that the fights don't motivate you to do this, because I don't view that as actually accurate. I think they do. People just don't, and they don't because nobody does, right?
But one of the things is right there, because nobody does, and is part of the reason nobody does because some people view supports as a crutch. That
yes,
if you get more supports, you're doing less DPS, and the only reason you're getting more supports is because your DPS aren't dodging properly or not doing the mechanics properly.
Yeah, I think that if anything, well, yeah, definitely, that's certainly true, and I don't think that's a very healthy mentality to have. In a way, I think it's a bit gatekeepy. For example, I think a lot of newer players might get frustrated by, getting absolutely wrecked in raids, and that sucks, right? I do think that the community in general is very hostile to supports, more hard carry supports, and not for a good reason. I don't think there's any reason. And to be honest, I would say that if you went into any other gaming community, okay, for another MMO, and you said that this is how the Guild Wars 2 community is, they'd probably look at you a bit funny. Because in those games, like, beating the fight is the point, right? It's not like being the biggest, big dick DPS, right? It's a bit, I don't know. It's a bit of a weird thing.
I think what we need to do to help the community out here, for everybody right now, is to define a new role, and that is the off support, or the off tank. Well, the off support. Yeah. So have a dedicated support in every group that removes one DPS from it, adds a new support. It's a support class that can do damage too, maybe, but is mostly support, and then it'll make every raid much more easy.
And actually, you touched on something very big brain there. I think this will be absolutely fantastic. Hybrid builds are the way that this can come back. For example, you're of course familiar with the Harrier Firebrand build in PvP, right? Okay, I think something like that in PvE would be fantastic. Like, bring in a new gear type. In a way, I think something like Diviner Firebrand, like make Diviner Firebrand better, right? Okay.
Except the problem with the Harrier Firebrand is they nerfed the retaliation buff.
Yes. Oh no. Oh.
Yeah.
Ouch. Which kind of sucks. But I agree, and I would actually go a bit further on this. Okay, and say that in a way, the fact that these classes don't get played is kind of my fault, and it's everyone's fault. Okay, I could do more about this. Well, maybe mostly me. Okay, maybe mostly me actually, because I always complain about it, so I should do something about it. So it is my fault, right? And I think a great example of this is the two build videos I've made, absolutely infested the raid scene with both of those builds. Okay, I'm told that if you go on NA, okay, like, every fucking group has Heal Necro in it now. And it's the same on EU. I joined EU Pugs, and everyone is playing Heal Necro, right? Like, everyone has got this full heal, like, Magi Heal Necro with, like, they've even got the food, right? They even get the little, the res food that gives you bonus stats. Yeah. Like, oh, nice, boys, nice. So in a way, should I actually push for this stuff and say, you know what? It's time to play Heal Firebrand, guys. Okay, it's time. Okay, let's go. That I can definitely see that happening, right? I remember TeaTime destroying Verdict and Diviner Renegade. Now, Diviner Renegade is really good, but I just find it a bit boring to play, right? But you know what? Okay, maybe I should make a video about that comp, because that comp is so good, in my opinion, now that I think it would be great to see people play it. Actually, I think it would really help people in raids. But I don't know. I should make videos. I should do it, and you know what? Other people should too. Okay. When Boots makes a build, I guarantee you, loads of people play it, right, and have some fun with it in PvP or World versus or wherever he's got it set up for. I guarantee people have play around with it and have a lot of fun, right? Yeah.
All I know is that Renegade is so made for raids. Just everybody should play Renegade in raids, at least one, just for Kala. Just for, not Kala, what's it called?
The lifesteal, dude. Soul Cleave, right?
The Soul Cleaver.
Yeah, dude.
Just do it.
Oh, man. It's actually so strong, right? It's so fucking
It's ridiculous.
Good. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that, it's not run all the time.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, the weakness there is that
it could get CC'd or taken out. Yeah.
Well, the problem I had with that Renegade comp in raids is always that it didn't have any vigor, right? It really struggled with vigor, because vigor is. We were talking about like regen and vigor. Like, I actually think there are very consequential boons. Like vigor is a huge fucking deal, and regen in as well. Like regen and vigor are absolutely insane in raids. Like regen means that you just don't take any ticking damage and it re-sustains you very quickly. And vigor means you can just dodge 50% more, right? Whoa, that's insane, right? Whoa. That's like, whoa, boys! It's out of this world. How good that is. So I don't know. That was always the problem I had with that, but I think you can actually resolve that now, quite easily. I think the buffs to heal Ellie, in particular, make this comp really good now, because now you can have easy 10 target protection. Now you can have easy vigor as well on top of that, and loads of boon extensions. So I think that the changes. I mean, I've always been a bit scathing of the Renegade comp in terms of like ease of usage. I think that now we're probably at the point where it's really easy to use now, and really effective as well. So maybe I should get that done. But you know what? I do want to run away from the balance topic. So okay. Really final thoughts on this. Like, this is where you got me and Boots on TeaTime, man. It gets out of control really fast, dude. It gets absolutely out of control. We need Brazil to regulate us, to be honest. But no. Okay, so
a couple wrong.
Are there any final thoughts? Because then I want to talk about something. I want to talk about something else, guys. I want to talk about the future. Okay, I want to talk about state of the game, where we're going. Okay, is it Cantha? Is it memes? But first, I want to give you guys final thoughts because I know I talk too much. Okay, I'm high energy, boys.
Any final thoughts? Thanks. I got none. I'm good with this conversation.
Just that. I had said like the encounters don't incentivize enough, and Teapot proved me wrong as to why they do. I guess my problem is I don't think that incentive is apparent to enough people, and I wish ArenaNet would focus more on. And I know that's not their shtick. I know that's not their goal for raids, but I wish they would I wish they would make it clearer to players to incentivize more to run particular comps or builds or whatever to vary some of the fights up or make some builds less impactful, making you want to take Condi over Power or whatever the case is. And there are fights that do that, but I wish there were more.
Imagine if there was a raid-specific party debuff that kicks in every time you double up on a class.
So, this could be fun. Actually, maybe it's like if the boss sees that you've got two of a certain class, it says no, I'm gonna say I'm gonna get you. Now, I think that might, I don't know. I think punishing people for running more than one class is probably not
like
not
it doesn't
the
have
best.
It doesn't have to be full class. It could be like specific to each elite spec as well. So like you could run two thieves if one has a different elite spec.
Yeah.
Maybe the boss could just berate you and say, "Oh, look at all the dead eyes."
Yeah, I think people should be free to play. I think people should be free to play whatever they want, but
well, I mean, they're still free to play. It's just a debuff.
Well, why not take the World of Warcraft approach though? For example, there's a boss in WoW Vanilla where it's Nefarian, right? Do you know Nefarian, Boots?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So like, he'll like randomly break all your hunters' ranged weapons, right? So they can't use them anymore, or like it will put all the warriors into berserkers. Why not have it? You can have it interact with classes, I think, and you could do that passively, right? For example, if you've got loads of thieves, maybe the boss reveals all of them, right? So they can't get their backstabs in. So not necessarily a direct like a hard punish for playing two of the same thing. Maybe make it interact with those classes in a specific way, so it would disincentivize class stacking, but not just flat punish you for doing it, right? So you can make it a little bit more subtle. Wait, okay, someone's telling us about Final Fantasy approach. Oh yeah, go ahead, Binks. Go ahead.
And maybe not even specific classes, but maybe the boss doesn't attack where it destroys all banners and spirits, or maybe it doesn't attack, or like you said, maybe ranged attacks just don't work on it. You have to melee it, or WoW had this a lot with its bosses. Meleeing was very dangerous, and so everything became like range fiesta. But maybe the bosses could do certain things like that. I'm still waiting for, and I'm not as up on the current bosses as you are, but I'm waiting for the boss that splits and makes you sort of tank two bosses at the same time, which we haven't really seen.
Yeah, I know. I think that will be really good. Especially the thing is with that, they'd have to get around the epidemic thing. I'm sure they would be able to though. And they kind of have that to a certain extent with stuff like Kadim. You have to have players spread out up across the map, right, doing different things.
Yeah, Kadim to an extent. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think you're still right though. We haven't had two full bosses you actually fight, right? There's
right. Yeah.
There's not two bosses with separate mechanics that you're DPSing and killing at the same time. Like that doesn't exactly exist. Like even Lagos is not exactly like that, right? Because the bosses don't interact with each other in any way, right? They just like throw water at each other. I think what Inks is looking for is actually like a full council fight, a la World of Warcraft, right? Where you have two bosses, you're fighting them. They affect both of them affect the entire raid. They have separate mechanics, separate health, and you have to deal with them separately. But every player has to interact with all the mechanics, right? As it stands right now, you effectively split into two groups and fight two separate bosses separately. Like if you fight Lagos, right? Being on the Nakara platform you don't have to deal with anything from Canute, right? Basically, like she'll throw water at you. Okay, but that's it. Right? I think Inks wants more of a fully inclusive experience, but okay, no, I cannot give. I'm not going to give the last word this time because we keep staying on this, okay, and we're getting out of here. We are disengage all defenses, ladies and gentlemen. We got to get the hell out of here. Let's talk about the future of Guild Wars 2. So, episode 6. For a start, let's just open it up. Boots, give me a date.
Well, we have a roadmap for. Not the episode, so I'm guessing the episode comes after the roadmap of once it's the stuff from the gem store.
You think so?
Yeah, probably. That's my guess.
Man,
when was the last episode anyway? Here, let's take a look. I'm gonna look up guildwars2.com.
Okay.
And previous release was All or Nothing.
January 7th, I want to say, right?
January 8th.
8th. Oh, one day off.
8th. So, I mean, technically we should be getting it pretty soon, but we did have something happen in the meantime that will definitely affect the release schedule.
So, we get a weekly
3-month
right?
cadence, not so much.
Not for this one, perhaps. Not for this one. We get a week lead up. So potentially we could see something this Tuesday, right? So maybe it could be at the earliest, the patch is going to be coming out on the 7th of May, right? That's the earliest it's going to come out. Now, the gem store thing, and for those who don't know, basically what they've added is this package, right? You can buy this item and it will give you weekly items, right? Weekly items. It will give you a shipment of Blackline goods every week. Very roleplay. Very roleplay, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And that ends on the week of the 23rd, right? I think, right? Yeah. So the theory is that the patch is coming out... the 21st, rather. The 21st, okay? The theory is that the patch is going to come out on the 21st of May, okay?
Ouch.
And that is a bit of an ouch. Okay, I'm not.
Ouch.
That's a bit of an ouch. I'm not going to deny it. Inks is in terrible pain over there. He's just in agony. So that is the theory. That's the theory about it.
I mean, we technically already did get a trailer for it, which usually happens not too long before a patch comes out. We haven't heard anything from it since, so I don't know. It was just a teaser anyway. So I don't know. I wouldn't say they'd release a teaser if it was 2 months away, and the teaser was what, 2 weeks ago or something like that.
With regards to the sky scale, right? Yeah, it was a few. Yeah, that was a little while ago, but not that long ago. Yeah, so it's
not that long ago. Yeah, I mean.
Anyway, I think that was. They are trying to build hype for this, right? And this is what gives me hope. okay, for episode 6. And this is why I'm not necessarily hyped for episode 6 for the story. I think that it's actually going to be quite a quiet episode, perhaps. Because,
Really?
think about it, because we just had our massive climax, right? We've had our
You don't think
crazy...
they take care of Kralka Torque?
No way, right?
Why not?
They can't do that in one episode. It's going to
Gotta
be
get rid of Edge.
it's going to be a cliffhanger into season 5.
We just had a cliffhanger. We don't need another cliffhanger.
We didn't have it. Nah, that's not a cliffhanger at all. Like,
That was a cliff. How was that not a cliffhanger?
because
Everybody died. How's it a cliffhanger?
yeah.
Because that's the cliff.
Aurene is
No.
on farm, dude. Okay. Aurene
By
got
the way,
farmed.
guys, I was gonna make a vid, but I didn't like the way it was turning out. Although I might still do it. Don't worry about Aurene. She's fine. All you gotta do is click that little bauble in your inventory that you saved from episode 2 or whatever it is, and you
And then you can play with your dead friend.
play with Aurene. No, she's alive there. I mean, it's just back in time. So you just gotta raise her again. That's the plan.
Zombies.
That's how we bring Aurene back. Just raise her again from that particular instance.
Now, I actually have leaks here, and I'm going to leak this shit live on stream, okay?
Whoa,
Now,
whoa.
I went to Rezzed, okay? EGX Res in London. And there, some of the writers, had a talk about making character deaths impactful, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, they cannot resurrect Aurene, okay? Because if they do, that entire talk was a giant meme, okay? And it was the most pointless talk ever, right?
No, I disagree.
Dude,
I disagree.
the character death would be utterly meaningless if they just bring her back, okay?
They did it with the commander.
They did it with the commander. I think
But they can't kill the main
discussion
character, dude.
about
I mean,
the discussion about it is not how to make characters meaningful forever. It's how to make the death of a character feel meaningful in the moment. So that's what they're discussing.
So,
that's what they did. They tried to make her death in the moment feel meaningful, and I think they succeeded in a lot of ways. That doesn't mean that she's never coming back.
So I have to ask you then.
Like, meanwhile, sorry, just as a counter example, one thing they did with Air did not feel meaningful in the moment, for example.
Right, and so that leads me to ask you, which characters have died in Guild Wars 2 that felt meaningful to you?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
None?
that...
Zero?
So there was Air. There was
Air.
Traherne. There was Belinda. Who else? Who else died?
Traherne. Traherne? Did I say
Blink?
Traherne?
I said
What is his
Traherne.
name?
Oh, okay.
What is the golem's name? Blink?
Blish!
Yeah, well,
Dude, that was
Something
fucked
with a
up.
B?
Holy shit.
I
That
mean-
was messed up, man.
Blish?
Okay.
Blish? I don't know why I
Tybalt.
couldn't think of his name.
Tybalt, man.
Tybalt. Yeah,
Pepe Ends.
okay, but hold on. But Tybalt and... all of the
Tybalt
other
felt meaningful.
people.
Tybalt was
No, they
meaningful.
don't. Stop.
Yes, it was. Out of all three,
2012 Guild Wars
Sibylla,
2.
whatever her name was.
You guys have been right in the
the Priory lady too. She was meaningful. Those two.
Well,
I don't know why I
no.
didn't really care about the Vigil one that much.
No, and you know why it's not meaningful? I'll tell you why Tybalt has death. I can't even talk. I'll tell you why his death had zero meaning. Because in the very next story instance, you're just like, Tybalt died. Guess we got to just move. No, nobody cared. His guild that he was part of, the Order of Whispers, whatever, or whoever you're playing with, they're just like, oh, well, that's real sad. Listen, I need you to go and do this next thing. Nobody cared about Tybalt. No, only players care about Tybalt. No, the story itself. The story itself didn't care.
I think the story didn't care, though, because his death was inherently meaningless because of how contrived it was, don't you think, for Tybalt? Right? There was literally no reason for him to die there. You know,
All three of them. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no reason for it.
You don't understand. The gates only latched from the other side.
Well, why not just run away, though, right? Just run.
All right, so we've got a bunch of character deaths. Most of them we can't even remember. That's how meaningful they were. And I'm not trying to poop on the writers here, but seriously, which death had a lot of meaning? Aurene, the most recent.
So far.
To be fair, I actually think...
Really?
I genuinely think that they did a pretty good job with Aurene in terms of the context of the story, absolutely. And to be honest, Blish, I think Blish was not good too. I genuinely think that the writing for the recent Living story was pretty solid, to be honest. And And
I'm not saying it was bad. I just don't think that, like, people were saying Blish, but we barely got to know Blish, and he died. Joko, while that scene was really cool, did Joko's death really have a lot of meaning?
Well, you want Joko to die.
Really...
No, I'm rooting for him, dude. What the fuck? I'm rooting for him, okay? Look, lads, okay? Maybe I messed up here, but surely I can't be the only one. For example, I'm going to see Endgame tomorrow, okay? Now, I'm kind of rooting for Thanos, man. I think he's such a great character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me too.
I'm just kind of rooting for him because I just think he's such a cool character. I know he's obviously not going to win, okay? Spoiler alert, boys.
He should.
Okay? Spoiler alert, okay? The bad guys don't win in the movies. Oh, shit. I'm screwed now.
I got bad news for you, buddy.
Yeah. Right? But still, right? It's kind of like Joko is the guy you kind of cheer for, right? And when he dies, you are a bit sad because he's he's a bit silly. He's a bit of a comic relief character, and he's evil, but he's evil in quite an amusing
by
way.
A teenage dragon.
Right? A lot of people didn't like his death, but I actually really disagree with that. I think his death was perfect for his character, right? It had to be an anticlimax in my opinion. Like, he's such an inherently non-serious and subtly absurd character. Yeah. I think it's perfect that he died in a very silly and anticlimactic way. You know, I really do. So in a way, I do think his death was good, and I do actually think Aureen's death was good. Do I particularly care about Aureen myself? I mean,
well, okay, but let's back up.
Right?
It's not about their deaths being good. It's about how much meaning deaths really had.
I felt that,
and Aureen is a maybe for me, but every other character, I don't really feel like their death really impacted things that greatly. Joko's Joko's death is a written-in thing because they're going to pretend that it has meaning because it's going to resurrect Aureen or something. But
right, and the fact that
shoehorned in.
Hold on a second though, the fact that none of those characters that have died in the past that didn't have any meaning to you haven't come back, that doesn't make their deaths any more meaningful.
But they do come back in a way because they're all in the mists. And every time we go into the stupid mists, there's the ghost of whoever.
Right. Well, anyway, I'm just saying that something never returning doesn't necessarily mean a more impactful death.
Except I think Vlast, who blew into chunks, right? Yeah.
Right. I think Aureen's death is impactful regardless of whether or not she comes back.
All right. I give you a pass on that one. That's a maybe. Okay.
All right. But I mean, you just talked about the mist. People keep coming back from the mist. This patch might have something to do with the mists. I mean, the title is
absolutely
War Eternal or War is Eternal. What is it?
War Eternal.
War Eternal.
That sounds ridiculously misty to me.
Oh yeah.
And if not, I mean, when I first read it, I was like, "Uh-oh, is Blizzard coming back?" But no, I don't think that's the case. But yeah, War Eternal. I think we're going to the mist to get Aureen back.
To me, that would just cheapen it, right? It would just really
either that
cheapen
or we're going to the mist to find the dragon in the mist, to find Karkator.
So, rewinding a little bit, I'm curious now, Teapot, what did they say in that panel about character deaths having meaning?
Well, what
were their examples of which characters had meaningful deaths?
Well, they pretty much solely talked about Aureen, and they did talk about Air a little bit and how it was not really fully fleshed out and stuff like that in a way, right? And they were basically talking about how they want you to feel attached to the character. They want you to really kind of have a bond with the character by doing lots of activities, having them alongside you. They talked about the methodology they were using there. For example, like having Aureen not doing stuff for you, but you interacting with Aureen to make her do stuff with you, right? Like fighting alongside her, right? Like doing all these little cute collection quests and stuff like that. And then they just say, yeah, we just bam. Get rid of her. So you just like, just right in, just like, bam, right in the feels, you know? It really gets you good. And that's the, that was the point of that, right? That was basically
talking,
stuff like that.
I guess so. Personally, for me, I feel like there was a lot of episodes where we had very little interaction with Aureen, where something would happen and she would fly off and that's it for the episode. So, there was a couple of instances where we did get to connect with her and we got the dragon sight in the one episode for a little bit, but I don't know.
To be honest with you, even though they were bonding experiences, the episode, like where we spent half the episode playing with her, wasn't particularly fun for me. So I'm kind of glad they didn't do too many bonding episodes. But regardless, it felt
like this is going to sound a bit terrible. I feel like my character has a better bond with Timey than with Irene because of how much interaction there is with freaking Timey on the.
Why does that sound terrible?
Because Timey's terrible, but because you're supposed to have a greater bond with Irene, I think, than Timey.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Some people really love Timey, man. Some people are really, really high energy on Timey. I mean, I think it's.
Yeah, I get it. She's disabled. I understand, but I mean, she now has cancer that's slowly eating her up. And for the record, I feel like Timey's writing this season is way better than previous seasons. I think she's a lot less annoying and a lot less domineering in a conversation than she has been in, like, I don't know, season 2 and stuff.
They for sure toned it down. They definitely toned it down, right? They really have. And that's good. That's always going to be a good thing.
Timey has to die. I don't know that she will. I think they'll solve it, to be honest. Or they'll blish her up. They'll put her in a golem body or
golem Timey. And then super powerful golem Timey. That'll be good.
Mega golem. I mean, yeah,
Mecha time.
It's going to be a kind of a blish situation, dude. Like, she's going to be the golem, you know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So as I did a prediction episode on Host of Ascalon, and I went hardcore stupid theory, and I said Timey will be put into a golem, become Mecha Timey.
Yep.
And then to power her, you put like the bloodstone crystal inside.
We feed her souls.
And then feed her souls. Mecha God Timey, and is all powerful.
Sounds
and then takes all
a bit evil, and maybe a little bit too evil there, perhaps.
Yeah.
Just a.
I mean, it's a great idea. I'm totally down for it, sacrificing people to Timey, but I don't think ArenaNet's going that direction.
Yeah, I don't think the whole sacrificing people to our new Dark Lord is really the direction we're going to be going.
I mean, sacrifice versus kill things near her. We kill things all the time. It's really not that big of a deal.
Well,
just gotta bring her near.
We're gonna charge her up, charge Timey up, and just set her going. I mean, well, maybe Timey-tron. I mean, perhaps. I can. Maybe we can see that. I can maybe see it.
Okay, but honestly, for War Eternal, this next episode, what do you guys think is gonna happen?
I think that it's going to be a cliffhanger.
We're going in the mists.
We're not going in the mists. I think War Eternal is going to be a very, almost like quite a dark, grimy episode where we're just like picking up the pieces.
Changes.
War, yeah.
All right, so
War.
We get
that
we get a dragon mount, right? Where do you think the dragon mount comes from, if not the mist?
We just go to some random fucking place where there are Dargans, dude.
To just sit around and be like, hey, I'm going to mount that. And I'm just, there we go.
Well, we randomly found griffins. Right?
No. It wasn't random that we found griffins.
You paid 200 gold for that griffin.
There were just griffins randomly about the place. So I mean,
but they had nests and stuff. And it was linked to the sun spheres.
And look, wyverns exist, right? In Verdant Brink, right? Yeah, so we're just going to find some kind of weird dragon things. The sky scale.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a dragon. It's a wyvern.
Yeah, they're not. Sky scales are not exactly. They're probably not technically dragons because dragons are pure evil, right? They're big bad men. So it's not bad. It's not going to be strictly dragons. It's going to be some kind of winged lizard is what we're going to be dealing with there. Okay. And yeah, they're going to be there. They're going to be going crazy. And we're going to just find them. We're going to go to a new map, obviously. It's a new map, because that's fucking Guild Wars 2. We're going to a new map.
What is this thing called? Sky what?
Sky scale, right? And there's going to be a sky scale setup, right? There will be a full sky scale meme. And there's going to be a roost of them. We harvest them, and we get on them, and we use them to make our army, okay? Because how are we going to fight Kralkatorok? We're going to fly on him with dragons, okay?
The sky scale has 4 fucking legs. It's not a wyvern.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's a wyvern. I'm saying it's a new species.
Chad is.
But, Chat. Well, yeah, Chat is like Pepega, dude. Come on, it's fucking Chat. Okay. No, Chat is 5,000 IQ. Okay, I'm just gonna say.
All right, if we're going with you, and it's just another map in normal place.
Yep.
Where do the sky scales live? What is this map?
They can climb on walls, so it's going to be on a slightly mountainous region, I imagine, a bit of verticality to it. And we go there because perhaps we found some kind of material that we can use to kill Kralkatorok.
No, I'm not asking you where it is just willy-nilly. I'm saying exactly where in the map is it?
Exactly where on the in the Guild Wars 2 map. Oh, I have absolutely no idea actually. I think it's not going to be in the same place we are now. I think it's going to be a radically different location.
So like the Mist.
It could be in the Mist, but I don't think it will be. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll go in the Mist to gather our forces. But in a way, I think it's going to be quite a down-to-earth episode. I'm not necessarily saying we won't go to the Mist to get the dragon, but I think the bulk of the story is going to be just we are picking up the pieces, right? In a way,
the whole story is just us picking up pieces.
Yeah. I think it's going to be quite a slow episode, and it's going to be building towards the hype of the next one, right? It's.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the end of the season, so it'll end on some sort of cliffhanger.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a really slow, quiet episode. I'm not roasting it for this, by the way. It's going to be a very chill episode. And in that episode, it's going to be all about us preparing and planning for what we're going to do in our next assault on Kralkatorrik, which is what we're going to do in the next season. Then it's going to end, and there's going to be a big cliffhanger, and I really, genuinely hope that we are going to see something leading into the next piece of content for Guild Wars 2. Are we going to end up with some new elite specializations? I think that could be something that's teased. Maybe we encounter some new warriors who have new abilities, or perhaps we see something like, oh, we're going to need new magics. We're going to need new magics to transcend into the mists, to take the fight to Kralkatorrik, right? Because we know he's doing some weird shenanigans, like teleporting all over the place now.
Everybody becomes a revenant.
Okay, everyone is a revenant, okay? Or, maybe there's a new weapon type or something. This is something that I think could be really cool, actually. A different approach to elite specializations, right? Everyone gets a new elite spec, right? But everyone's got the same weapon, right? Yeah? Okay? So, suppose they added spear, right? To land spears, right? Every class gets a spear, right? And because what have we used, okay, to fight Kralkatorrik? Fucking what's it called? The dragon's blood spears or whatever. Okay, boom.
Yeah.
Okay, now everyone's got spears. Everyone's got pokey. Everyone's poking people,
too.
going crazy. Tridents. Everyone's poking people. It's insane. It's high energy. That's happening. Okay.
Everybody invest your money in all those underwater.
Yes, go buy spears.
Yeah,
but the underwater weapons.
This is why I'm excited about the story. Okay, because I just cannot wait to see where it's going. Okay, like what are we doing? What's next for Guild Wars 2? Okay, and why am I a bonus meme excited about this stuff? It's quite simple. Have you seen the marketing, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, let's wake up, guys. This is Illuminati shit, but it's not Illuminati shit. What are we dealing with here, guys? Okay, we have the ads. ArenaNet, after 5 years, have decided they're going to advertise their game. That's reality, guys. Okay, why? Okay, why now? Okay, they've said that they've been planning this for a long time. Okay, what does that mean? They've been, the head of global marketing said this guy. That's what his name stands for.
Ads
by the way,
don't get made in a day.
Okay. Yeah, they don't get made in a day, but apparently it was a year. Okay, that's maybe a little bit too long. But still.
2 years twice?
Yeah, 2 years twice, exactly. So, in any case, right, this is now here. The advertising here, the promotion is here. I honestly think they are building up to something that's going to culminate in episode 6, okay? What do we see? We see communication. We see the mount teased early, okay? We see ArenaNet communicating, right, like with a little bit more than they usually are. Okay, we know things are going to happen. Like the raid is coming soon. I honestly think that there's going to be some kind of big announcement with episode 6. And you know what? I'm gonna preface this, okay, by saying that if we don't get this, guys, we're fucked. Okay, but yeah, if we don't get anything big with this patch, guys, nothing big is coming probably. Okay, this is a huge episode. Okay, if ArenaNet can nail this, it will be so fucking good for them, okay? It will be incredible. I genuinely hope they do. Now, a lot of people always say, oh, Teapot, you're so negative, right? You're so cynical at this point. But no, I'm always going to be rooting for ArenaNet in this one, okay? Because I think that, I think they deserve a win, okay? They've had some rough times recently, and I really hope they do get a big win here, right? Genuinely, I hope they get a big win. And I think that if they deliver on this, we get some really, we get some content, right? And we get an announcement of what's coming soon, elite specs, maybe even potentially like the shadow of an expansion, right? Maybe halfway through season 5, there's an expansion or something like that, okay? Or the inklings of an expansion, okay? That is really going to get this stuff back on the road, and we can maybe address some of these issues, because this ties back into the balance, right? I think that the best way to fix the balance and to really freshen up the game, all game modes, by the way, okay, is elite specializations. Okay, think about it. If you've got a new elite specs, every raid is fresh now because you've got elite specs. Okay, open world PV, that shit's fresh. Okay, world versus world, it's fresh because they just make something more overpowered than Scourge. Nice. Okay, and they just keep doing that, guys. Boom. Yeah. That's why I'm excited. Let's go.
Here's the thing, though. So they talked a little bit about what's coming up, right? So what have we heard so far? We heard they're thinking of raising cooking to 500, Julian to 500 too at some point. There's a bunch of other things that they mentioned. The Alliance is coming at some point. What do you guys remember? What else they were
Legendary
talking about?
runes and sigils, build templates.
Legendary runes and symbols. Now they mentioned all these things,
but not elite specializations.
Not elite specializations. Number one. Number two, they mentioned all these things that, in my mind, should be tied to an expansion, but they don't mention anything about an expansion.
Well, but what about a major feature pack? Because a lot of it is more feature packy, right?
Yeah, except cooking and dueling to 500 is not a feature pack. That would be what you put in an expansion.
Right, but I don't think so. First of all, cooking is the one that they're working on first. Jewel crafting was on the third part of the list, which is a maybe we would like to, but who knows when.
Yeah. So my question is, have they started decoupling some of these big things from an expansion altogether? Meaning we can't really expect an expansion coming anytime soon, even after Season 5. That is my worry.
Well, I think an expansion is 2 years away yet. Because
there's still Season 5 to go, but are we for sure going to get one after Season 5?
Not for sure, but
especially if they're decoupling all these big features from an expansion.
I don't think they are. I think those big features are coming in an expansion.
Okay, so even though they're mentioning it now,
why not absolutely
mention that it's going to come in an expansion?
I would be tempted to say that alliances are coming in an expansion as well.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that would be. I mean, that's good for an expansion. It's bad for the amount of time you would have to wait.
That's what I'm saying.
And are you ready for the teapot hot take? Okay.
Yeah. Ready.
Yeah. I actually think that the best thing for this game right now is to have all of those features in an expansion, and we have to kind of wait a bit for them. And I'm not talking. Yes. I'm talking about for the game, right? Not necessarily for us, the players, as such, short term. But I think long term, it's better for everyone if it's all packaged in expansion. Because this game needs to yell loud and proud that it is not dead, right? Okay, and that Guild Wars 2 has something to offer the MMO player base.
The problem is it's going to be a long time until that comes, and there are things like. Yes, I agree that is the best way to package things and the best way to get it out to encourage player base to come back, encourage people to buy more things, encourage new players to come. But if you're waiting 2 years until that happens and you have nothing because you're putting it all in the expansion in 2 years, what do you do in those 2 years?
You do have the living story to kind of fill that through, right? Which is kind of what we've had now. But I'm now ready for number 2 hot take.
You need something. Okay? Anyway, yeah, okay.
Well, here's number 2, right? Okay. And you better be ready for this. You better be fucking prepared. I think we're going further, okay? We're going further. I think the expansion...
Guild Wars in space?
No, the expansion will come mid-living season, okay?
I don't understand.
I think it's going to be 3 episodes, season 5, expansion. No. 3 episodes, season 5, expansion, then we continue.
Hey, maybe. I mean, I don't see any reason why there shouldn't be. Or no. I would say maybe season 5 is only 3 episodes.
What the fuck? There's no way.
maybe season 5 is just a short season.
Are you too drunk? Or have you been drinking? Both of you?
No, I don't think so. I'm sure that people thought that. I'm sure people think that in ArenaNet, I'm sure that they know that waiting too long before massive release of content is not a great idea. So maybe
3 episodes. I mean, I know the episodes take like 5 months each.
Although I feel like it would be better to kill Kralkatorok off in the Mist this episode because that'd be a lot of fun. Maybe this is all build up to going into the Mist, and season 5 is the Mist expedition, and it's just a quick, fast doing something really epic in 3 episodes, killing Kralkatorrik.
For the record, I think that we're probably going to kill Kralkatorrik in this episode as well. That saddens me really, really a lot. That's not even good English, but that really makes me sad. But I really think that we're probably going to put some sort of pin in Kralkatorrik. I don't think we're going to see the resurrection of Arene until season 5.
Are you going to put a literal pin in Kralkatorrik? Is that how we kill him?
Yes, we're going to take
dragon's
a
blood pin.
No, I think that I don't know exactly how the fight's going to go down. I hope it's some sort of Mordremoth type fight at a minimum, but I think the cliffhanger is going to be the release of his magic somehow resurrects Arena.
What about this? You ready?
Okay.
Even though I also want to kill Kralkatorrik this episode.
Did you just snap at me?
Yes, I did. What about this, okay? We do Teapot's thing. I mean, again, this is conjecture and not at all what's going to happen. Do Teapot's thing. Prepare to go into the mist. Finally go into the mist, and then it's like a cliffhanger. We're in the mist. We're going to go kill Kralkatorrik. Season 5. 3 episodes, maybe 4. Chasing down Kralkatorrik in the mist. Epic fun time. And killing him. Come back from the mists. Everything's changed.
Holy shit.
It's 30 years later for some reason. Time doesn't work the same in the mist as it does here. And all the things are still there. The world's still there, but everything's a little different.
Ooh.
And maybe Cantha is at our borders on the sea. And then we have to go take a fight to them.
Whoa. And we take down Cantha. Because the Ministry of Purity has gone crazy, right? In our absence. They're out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Ooh. But to expand on what I mean by the expansion thing, because some people in chat were saying I'm crazy, right? And I am a little bit crazy, but my personal experience is that one of those projects that they've been working on in the background is actually an expansion, okay? Now, they did say that some things have been cancelled, right? But I don't think that means everything has been cancelled. I think an expansion has been coming for a long time. So it's not that they're starting a work on an expansion now, okay? I think work on an expansion has been going for a long time. And that they're going to push it hard now. I think all of the marketing makes sense in this regard, like marketing the game, even like having. I mean, there were like ads in some really prime spots in some major cities, right? Okay, like this has been going on, right? And I think there have been some other projects going on there as well. They're gone, but I definitely think an expansion has been in the works. Okay, Nike saying that he has hard inside info here.
I kind of believe what Nike is saying, just because I hate to be the downer. I wish I was Teapot level excited as far as like what is in the works and what we're going to see. And it's and don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm not excited for Guild Wars 2. I'm actually excited for the next story. It pains me to think I'm going to have to wait to the end of May to experience that. But I think that so let's go to the marketing that we're seeing. We know that the marketing has been in the works for like a year or so, right? I think that this is just like I just think that this is the time that they release it to get actual advertisement to Guild Wars 2. I don't, just because it happens to coincide with these other things happening in the game, I think is actually kind of just coincidence. And as far as like the final episode goes for this season, ArenaNet, like Mike O'Brien has said before, that they don't really advertise those things, which I always thought was a mistake. You need to be advertising those every episode. You need to be hard advertising it, in my opinion, to remind people that the game is still active, that the story is still ongoing, and so forth. But I don't know that that's what's happening here. I think that it just coincidentally aligns with things that are taking place. And I believe...
Anyway, yeah.
Sorry, Boots. I believe that they do have an expansion planned to be working on, but I don't think they were working on it yet. That they were hoping in 2019 they would finish up side project A or B or whatever, and then release a number of those developers to then go work on the expansion. That didn't work, but I think that's what their plan was.
So yeah, before everything happened. In the predictions thing, I had always thought that they were always working on an expansion, expansion 5 or expansion, the expansion after this one, after season 5. It was going to be it would be announced after this season 5. I'd always thought that, but then this happened, and then from what Mike Z was saying in his post, I forget exactly the words he used, but from the words he used, it made it seem as though they had not been working on an expansion. And so that's the only reason I would say that they are now working on expansion, and wasn't before, even though I thought they were before. But from his words, it made it seem as though they had not been.
I mean, they said we were going straight into season 5, right?
Right, but that was long before. Like, I'll try to find exactly what I'm talking about.
Like, that was always the plan. My problem is that it sounded like, and I don't know that this is true, but it sounded like they had Skeleton Crew working on Guild Wars 2, and they had the Living Story teams fleshed out enough to pump out, like the 3 teams, they pump out the stories. So for them to go from season 4 into season 5, like immediately into season 5, I think that's just a case of they figured out how those teams work, and they could do that cadence with their Skeleton Crew. And I think the reason from going from season 4 to season 5 has more to do with their side projects than actually Guild Wars 2 or anything involved in there. They had to go from season 4 to 5 with that Skeleton Crew so that they could finish the side project, phone, mobile, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, it just seems that really you need to divert almost all of your development team onto just like a mobile app. Right? Really? I don't know. I just think that...
Well, I don't know that it was a mobile app. I think it was a big project, whatever they were working on.
I get it was a big project, but I also think they were pushing for an expansion because they can't... I refuse to believe that the only thing they were doing for Guild Wars 2 was like 2 hours of story content every 3 months. Okay? That to me is not believable. I don't want to believe that. That there's just no way, right? That cannot be, surely.
I think that's what had happened. I hate to say that. I hate to think that too, but I think that's actually a reality.
It can't have been the plan, to just do Living Story 5. It had to be something like... There's no way that all of this marketing is a coincidence, right? Look... This is surely ArenaNet cannot be that much of a clown fiesta that they just randomly market the game at a completely random time, right? There's just no way, right?
No. I think that the marketing was pushed forward a little bit. I think this marketing that we're seeing, which is great, by the way, I think that was supposed to be timed maybe for the episode 6 or whatever. But I think it got pushed up a little bit because of NCSoft sort of stepping in and saying, listen, you need to make more money. Let's push this out the door and let's go. Let's get players into the game here.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the marketing thing was pushed up a couple of months, just to say, let's get the banners and the ads and stuff out there. Remind people the game is still around. We're 11 million strong. Let's do it. It's populated. Let's show all these lightsaber weapons, which may not have been for Guild Wars 2 or whatever. But I think that. I think that was pushed up because of the earnings and NCSoft.
I do actually. I am inclined to think that is entirely possible. ArenaNet have this history of doing things in almost a very disjointed and short-sighted way, right? They don't really connect all of their initiatives together, and they kind of just YOLO and randomly push stuff out just when it's ready, and they don't have a cohesive plan. That has been apparent in the past. Whether that's still the case remains to be seen. I kind of hope that it isn't. I mean, one of the biggest things that I really hope they do with World vs. World and stuff is that they have a very cohesive relaunch of this game mode, right, and really get back into the mix with it and make sure that the game mode is fully fixed, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a ridiculous optimist here, but I genuinely think that they are planning something relatively big for the launch of episode 6 about the future of the game. I think one way or another we're going to know, and I think we can all agree on that, right? One way or another we're going to find out how it's going to go down, right? Like if we hear nothing, we know that I'm a clown and I'm completely wrong, right? But if we hear something, you guys all give me 50 Mystic coins. Nice. Let's go.
Okay, so hold on a second. Reading Mike Z's thing,
Okay.
it says, very importantly, this is going back to whether things are going to be bundled into an expansion or not. We have also our sites set on a few features that have already been in development for some time. Please understand that these are in the works in progress, blah, 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 blah. These features will ship when they are ready. Rune and Sigil salvaging release last year, blah, blah, blah. And they name all the cooking, etc.
Yeah.
They don't say these
Which, by the way, I
features
don't
will
believe.
ship at some point in the future. It says when they are ready.
Right. That's the part that I have a problem with, that PR when it's ready thing. And I'm not trying to rag on Mike Z or anybody. Arena as a company, I'm talking about the whole company here, not a particular person. They've always had the when it's ready, but I thought we were supposed to get raids when they were ready, but we don't get that. What we get is content held until they're ready to release it. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with everything you just said. They're going to hold it for a patch, not when it's actually ready
for a patch. No, I agree, but
know.
I'm what I'm saying is it's unlikely that line means they will be bundled into an expansion. It means that they will come before one.
Maybe it won't be ready till the expansion comes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you are. I think that's right, and they did intend to do that, but I think plans have changed, right? I think they're now going to be bundling that into an expansion. I think it's all going to come together.
But this was the plans have changed post.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Okay. I mean, I agree with Boots. I don't think that these things that Mike Z in the first paragraph. There's 3 separate like chunks of a list, right? There's 3 separate lists. The first set of lists, I think, are the things that are closest to completion, and we'll see those with some patch in the future and not as an expansion. But the other 2 sections that are maybes, like big maybes, those could be in an expansion.
Yeah, sure, for sure. So anyway, but that alleviates my fears a little bit, because I do hope that there's an expansion coming after season 5. And I do know that it'll be a little while until that happens, if that's the case. So we need something in the meantime. And Living World is great, and I love it, and it comes every 3 months, and it's perfect. Except, is it enough for the player base to sustain them completely for like 2 years? I don't know.
No, it's not. I think the worst possible thing that could happen is another 2 years of Living Story. If it's 2 years of Living Story, well, WoW Classic looks good. I think that is absolutely not enough. And to be honest, it really sucks that this is the case as well, because I think that ArenaNet they're ahead of their time. You know, in the same way, guys. Okay, that wireless technology is a good idea, but simply doesn't work. Okay, I like the multi-release, like the episodic releases, right? Like the Living Story. I love the idea of it, but I just think that it's not there yet. Like the stream, perhaps with a new engine, maybe Guild Wars 3 is what is necessary here, really. Like if they want to keep up this model, I genuinely think that ArenaNet are really onto something actually when it comes to how they release content, like, episodically instead of in big chunks. But for whatever reason, the industry standard is expansions. Expansions build hype. They get people excited for the game, and they bring people back into the game. I think maybe ArenaNet's strategy could work if they already had like a really huge player base, right? The game was like forefront already. That would be really great for sustaining it. But I think what we need right now is to build it, right? It needs to get constructed. We need to bring players back, get new players into the game. And to be honest, I think the best way to do that is an expansion. And if that's what it takes, and I think that's what's best for the game. So if it's going to be Living Story, then I think that the game will decline, unfortunately. And decay, right? I think the best thing to be done, and perhaps the thing that is necessary, it has to be some kind of big content drop with a lot of replayability, a lot of features getting dropped all at the same time, because that's going to bring people back into the game. And maybe then, if ArenaNet is able to get their teams on lockdown, they're able to actually produce a lot of content in an episodic fashion, in a timely manner, then that can work to maintain the player base. But I think right now, that approach is not good, because they need to get more players. I think ArenaNet wants more players in the game, and for that, you need stuff like expansions. Stuff like Living Story is not going to cut it. It it doesn't build hype, right? It absolutely does not build hype. And to be honest, the type of content that's released really doesn't cut it either. It's not repeatable. People will be back to within like a few weeks, people will have done it and they'll be back to grinding Heart of Thorns maps from like 2 years ago. Okay, like that is, it's
and
not
unfortunately, I think 11 million strong. I think that, unfortunately, the majority of players are a lot like my wife. They come back for the story when it's released. She gets an email saying, hey, new story. She comes back, plays the story for one day. Maybe she's tempted by the gem store for one purchase. Maybe she plays for another day after the patch has been out. And then she's gone for 3 or 4 months. And that's it. Like, I don't know how you can sustain yourself on players like that. And I think if we're in this for another 2 years, that's dangerous.
I think they're gonna be releasing. I think that they're gonna be releasing more larger features during that time, and that'll help us get to the next point in time where there's an expansion. I also hope that maybe the story's going to be so epic that it'll feel like an expansion. Live in Story Season 5.
Yeah, even I'm not going to believe that, Boots. Holy shit. Yeah.
Maybe it will.
Even I'm not buying that.
If it's in the mist the whole time and we're flying around in mist spaceships, I would do that. That'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not buying that. But I know, like, Inks, you were talking about like not being able to sustain the game like that. In a way, that's ArenaNet strategy. They want players like that. They want players who will be satisfied logging in, playing it, and then logging out until the next thing comes in. I guess
I know that that's her strategy. I don't understand. Like,
it saves on server costs, boys.
I don't understand that strategy at all. That business Now, I'm not a business major. Forgive me. That doesn't make sense to me ever. They've had this attitude even back in 2012 where they were like, "Hey guys, we're the game that you can play. There's no sub. Go off, play something else, and come back." They don't come back. That's the problem. Yeah. When they go off to do something else, they come back for 4 or 5 days. Or they come back 5 years later and they say, hey, what has changed? They don't come back en masse like an expansion brings people back on their own.
Yeah.
You need those expansions to drive those sales and stuff.
To be fair, they probably have stats on everything you just said.
I'm sure they have way better stats than my personal observations.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe their stats say otherwise. But I can't imagine. If I was a business, Ink's business company, we sell widgets. I would never say, hey, buy my widget one time and then come back to the store whenever you feel like it to buy another widget. No, I'd be advertising that I sell widgets all the freaking time. I want you to come back and buy widgets every freaking day. I don't want you to buy widgets once and then come back when widget version 2 comes out. No. I want you to buy 7 widgets for your house. Like Teapot's got 50 accounts. I want all Teapots.
You're saying is that they should make they should make Guild Wars 2 obsolete in a year, so you have to buy a new Guild Wars 2.
No. No, terrible analogy by me. No, but what they should do is not incentivize people, or they shouldn't tell people it's okay to leave. I think that's just weird. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's kind of a relief in the MMO world.
Yeah, it's a relief to the players. It's probably even nice to hear, but I don't think it's good for business.
In a way, I think it can work. It is Guild Wars 2's niche. I just find it a bit sad. I kind of think, in a way, it's really wrong to assume intention, but it just seems that ArenaNet doesn't even want to try and compete, right? They've placed themselves in a category where no one else does it, right? Like, yeah, hey, guys, we're the MMORPG with no replayability. Yeah! So, well, okay. All right. But
well, in Mars, I'm not really trying to describe a subscription service necessarily, because that wouldn't work in this game, especially not at this point. But I don't think that you should advertise to your players that it's okay to leave and then come back for the next living story. I think you should want to, not just by advertising, but by repeatable content, want them to keep playing. I think you should want or try to keep them busy with stuff to do while you're developing more content. But the game constantly misses that mark. It has since 2012, unfortunately. And one of the big topics that we keep coming back to time and time and time again on Tea Time is the fact of not enough repeatable content. So,
okay. Absolutely, and well, you do want to keep people in the game, and that's certainly where Guild Wars 2 does fall off, but I'm not even sure if they want to, right? And we're going to wrap this up pretty soon, guys, because Boots has got to head off pretty soon, so we'll talk a little bit more, but we've got to get out of here pretty damn quickly, because the man, he's got a tight schedule, okay?
Tight schedule.
Yeah, exactly, okay? So we've got to wrap this up pretty quickly, but I don't know, I just wish Guild Wars 2 believed in itself a bit more. That's what it comes across. Like, maybe
Replace
if you get
me with Deroyer.
Yeah, dude, we're bringing Deroyer in. I'm adding Deroyer to the call. Let's fucking go. I'm bringing him into the mix. Let's go. We're bringing him in. Okay, let's go. He's in the chat. I see him there. He can't get out of this. We called Deroyer, and he's gonna roast the game as well. Let's go. I'm not sure about that. I don't think he wants. I'm not sure he wants to come on. But it's. I wish that Guild Wars 2 could kind of was bit more proud of itself. Like maybe I'm wrong.
Guys, I think you're all very wrong.
Okay, hit me with it.
I think Guild Wars 2 has succeeded because it's done that in the past, and it continues to succeed in that way. Because how many in the meantime, since Guild Wars 2 has been around, I mean, probably a lot of it has to do with Guild Wars 2 just being a better game than a lot of these other MMOs. But how many MMOs have come and died in the time that Guild Wars 2 has been here? They have a different subscription. Some of them had subscription, some of them didn't. Some of them have different. They all didn't do what Guild Wars 2 did.
Yeah, those games were bad though.
Succeeding.
Those games
not all of them were bad. Not all of them were bad.
Well,
which one was good?
None of them were as good as Guild Wars 2, frankly. But
see, the problem is when you take a 20-year-old Russian game and import it to America and pretend it's new with all its problems. Turns out those problems still exist and it's terrible.
Yeah. I just think that the fact that it has this niche is a good thing, not a bad thing. Because yes, it doesn't encourage all players to stay forever and never. And if they, they're always welcoming people back. I'm
just trying to say that I don't think they should advertise that it's okay to leave.
Yeah, I don't know. When was the last time they did that? It was a long time ago, wasn't it?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. Right. But it's something that has been seared into my brain and probably the brains of many players. It's okay to leave.
I'm going to completely agree with Boots here. I think the only reason why this game has survived is because it's like that. I would say that. But in a way, that's also a bad thing, right? Like, in my mind, I look at that decision to make the game like that, and I see, wow, you literally took the golden goose and you fucking had him for Christmas dinner. You know what I mean? Like, what a clown fiesta of a decision that was, right? I mean, I think Boots is right. Like, the only reason the game is really sorry is because they did directly go at this niche, right, of the casual game market. But it's just they have such a good product, right? They have such an incredible piece of game design, right? And then they
in this world, can they have sustained it like they have the way they set it up if they had gone with something like a WoW subscription model? I don't think so. They would never have been able to take over what WoW had.
No, business model, no, fine. And in fact, I actually think Guild Wars 2 makes more money with its current model than it does if it had a sub fee. This is a documented fact, guys, okay? Free to play, okay? This is something that a lot of people who don't like sub fees actually don't fully appreciate. Free-to-play games, okay, make more money and squeeze more money out of the consumer than a subscription fee. Guys, that is just fact, okay? The best model for making money is free-to-play. That is why so many games are free-to-play, right? Because it makes them more money. Yeah, okay, sorry, yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, okay, Boots, just get it out. Okay, right, we're not done with this. I'm not done. Okay, but yeah, thanks for going on, Boots. Okay, Bootsper, Wall of Enders. Google him on YouTube, guys. Bad builds, okay, memes, Mad King runes. Go!
Love you, Boots.
Right, see you later. Now we just have Mega Inks. Mega Inks. Wow, okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so and then there were two, boys. And then there were two. I think it's the opposite. The fact that they encourage you to leave is the reason why the game isn't bigger. I don't know. I think maybe that's a little bit extreme. I don't think they encourage
my thing is that it's okay that players can leave and come back, and I think that's great for the game. I think that's work for the game. I just don't think you should be encouraging it. And early on, I don't know about today. I can't remember the last time they've necessarily done this, but early on they were encouraging you that it's okay to just leave and come back, whenever, when the next story comes out. I'm just saying that you have a solid base that does that. You have your players. Oh my gosh, I'm mega. You have those players who do leave and come back just for the story. They spend a little money, whatever. That's great. But why can't they also develop content or give a little bit more to the players who are there long term, and let those players know it's okay that you're staying here to play the game and not playing something else?
Well, and this is where I think that we had a bit of a disconnect with Boots. It's a shame he's gone now, but I believe they could have had both, right? I think they still can have both, in fact, if they choose to, but it seems that they actually don't want both, if that makes any sense, right? They do not desire to have this idea of you have some players who stay for all the time, and you have some players who dip and dive, right? I think it's completely possible for them to have both types of these players and actually appeal to the entire audience. Look, this is what I don't know. I wish I could go to a ArenaNet office, guys. This is a joke, by the way. Okay, when I go to a ArenaNet office and get their head of strategy, because I'm sure they have something like that, their director or whatever, and just shake him. Look, WoW is weak right now. Okay, WoW is like a sickly gazelle. Okay, in Guild Wars 2. Okay, it's a malnourished lion, okay, right? It's a malnourished lion, but it's a lion nonetheless, okay? WoW is like the sick, it's like, oh god, it's like its leg is fucked, okay? It's crawling along, okay? This is the time for Guild Wars 2. And in Guild Wars 2, the lion is cowering in the grass, oh, I'm scared of the gazelle's gonna get me, dude. No! Kill the gazelle, right? Seriously. What are you doing, guys? Just get your fucking big-ass lion teeth, okay, and rip the gazelle in half. Right? Guild Wars 2 can easily compete with this. BFA is a shitfest, guys. Okay? You could fill the entire chat, okay, with peepo clowns right now, and it still wouldn't be enough to show how much of a clown fiesta, okay, fucking BFA is right now, okay? There are videos made dedicated to saying, how trash BFA is, guys. That's what we're going on, okay? That's what's going on here. If Guild Wars 2 wanted to, they could easily take a piece of that pie, okay? And yeah, it wouldn't be a big piece at the start, but that's how it goes, right? They can take a piece of that pie, then they get a bigger piece, right? And you keep eating more pie. And I just genuinely think they could do it. I don't know why they don't. If it's a resource thing, well, hey, maybe start small. Hopefully, this new advertising campaign maybe, will bring those players from BFA into the game. Those players are going to have certain expectations, right? They're from WoW. They like dungeons, okay? They like raids, okay? Give them those things, right, and see if you can get them to stay, right? And hey, that you'll make a shit ton of cash off that because hey, there's no sub fee, right? So they might buy some stuff in the gem store. So go ahead, right? Just I don't know. I don't understand why they're so insistent on staying in their niche, okay, and won't branch out, okay, and actually start competing, right? Okay, because I really think they can. It seems to me that it's incredibly obvious that Guild Wars 2 is the superior MMO, okay, and it can easily compete on the same things that WoW does. I'm using WoW as an example here, guys, okay? It can easily compete, we'll use ESO as well. It can easily compete with the same type of content, the same type of player that ESO does. It can take players from ESO. It can take players from WoW. And even better, it's so good at doing this because you can play WoW and Guild Wars 2 at the same time. It's even better, right? Because you can do both. Because Guild Wars 2 doesn't require a heavy commitment and gear grind like some of the other games do. It's a very casual friendly or try out this game and kind of get there eventually kind of thing. You're never going to get left behind in Guild Wars 2 because you don't play every day. I really wish they would start competing, right, with these other MMOs and other products because there's no reason why they can't. They absolutely can. I think staying in this niche is absolutely fine. Boots is right. I think Guild Wars 2 has been, they've survived and done well as a result of really capitalizing on this new wave of casual MMO gamers. But in a way, I think they could easily have both, the best of both worlds if they wanted to. I think perhaps what they're most scared about is the toxic community moving in. But I don't know. I don't think we're not that scary, are we? Am I that scary, guys? I don't think so. But I don't know. I just wish they would do both, and I think they can. And that is my hopes for episode 6, actually, because in a way, I'm always hoping that they will do that, and that this sort of thing is going to happen, and they will try and push this game to where it really belongs. Okay, I bash the game, I joke around, I was like, dead game, fucking lol, let's go play classic WoW. But realistically, if I was given the opportunity, if I ever leave Guild Wars 2, it will be kicking and screaming, okay? Like, I am as hard stuck as you can be. Like, the only person who's more hard stuck than me, okay, well, is probably, I don't know, like Big's a Snake and maybe Wooden Potatoes are on the same
Big's
level
a
as
snake.
me, okay? Right? Okay, like that's the level of hard stuck we're dealing with here, guys, okay?
I knew Wooden Potatoes was coming. Big's
yeah.
a Snake's a surprise.
Yeah, but seriously, that you won't find people who are more who don't want to leave this game as much as me, okay? But eventually it will happen because there's not going to be much of a choice, okay? But I really don't want to, okay? And I will take any excuse ArenaNet gives me not to. So I just really hope that they do, because at this point it is getting to the point of no return. But just please give us something, okay? Give us a reason. Give us an excuse to stay, because trust me, no, listen up, ArenaNet. And I'm speaking directly to ArenaNet right now, guys, okay? Hopefully you guys see this. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but players really don't need much of an excuse to stay in this game, okay? That should tell you something. It should tell you something that your game is very good, okay? And you barely... Look, you can give raiders, like, fuck all content for a year, and they'll still play, okay? Like, imagine if you actually gave them something, right? You've got PvPers. Dude, fucking... You can't even... Look, Rom is back, Syndrana's back, even Helseth is coming back sometimes as well to play this game, right? Like, look, you don't need to give them anything, and they'll still play, okay? Just imagine if you did something, you know? Like, imagine if it was... If you gave it some actual welly, instead of just focusing on like only the casual players, you know. I don't know, dude. I'm out.
All right, Teapot's gone. So remember to subscribe to twitch.tv/MMOing. Since Teapot quit, he's rage quit. Like, literally, he left the room. You guys can't see behind the green screen, but I can. I feel like I don't know how many of you out there watch Trailer Park Boys, but this is like the episode where Bubbles goes up on stage and has to entertain all the kids or whatever. Who do we follow on Twitter? Actually, I've lost a lot of Twitter followers. I don't think people really like my tweets. That's okay. You don't have to like my tweets. That's fine. Entertain you with what? I'm a terrible entertainer. You know, I was bold enough at one point to call myself an entertainer. That was a bold choice to go out there and say. I think I try to be entertaining, but... Inks Sing, tell us a dad joke. I'm not a dad. I mean, I was, but I'm not. All right, Teapot's back.
I'm back. What did you do with the chat while I was gone?
Just told them to follow me and give me money, you know.
Oh.
Just chill a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good
Everybody send me $1.
Yeah, okay.
I could use $1 from every... Can I have $1? Just send me $1. That's it. That's all I need.
$1? Okay.
$1 from every person. How many people are here? 400? I mean, that's $400. That's pretty good.
That will be not bad.
More than I make in a month. Send me $1 each.
Guys, everyone subscribe right now with Twitch Prime, okay? To me and MMO Inks. Let's go, okay? I
love my tweets. They're so depressing. God, that's probably true. That's probably why so many people unfollow. Nobody wants to be depressed by other people. That's a terrible thing.
Well, you're just going to attract all the people who want to enjoy your misery.
Yeah, that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
But I wish we could rewind. Talking about like Helseth and then coming back, I seen Helseth tweet the other day something like he's playing Guild Wars 2 again, but he like hates himself or something. It's kind of funny. But I wish we could rewind back to right after Helseth won. Helseth and his team. I don't remember everybody who was on the team anymore. But Helseth and team won the World Championship. They beat NA. They beat the NA Lords, Team America, whatever they were called. No, but seriously, that was a good time. And I think structured PvP was actually on an uptick then, right then. And then ArenaNet went silent for a couple of months. Josh left the company, went to Crucible, where he's very happy. But he left the company, went to Crucible, and it took them a while to like come back around and pick that up. But in the meantime, that scene that they had developed, for as small as it might have been viewership-wise, like maybe they weren't getting enough views that they wanted, I still think it was going in like a positive way at the time. Like, even I was excited to watch structured PvP, and I don't really like structured PvP.
No, I absolutely think it was a real shame. I suppose, I guess Pro League, just the stats bore out that it didn't work out, right? You know, the stats didn't bear out for whatever reason, but I don't know. I think ArenaNet genuinely had a unique I would even use the word unique opportunity. This game could have actually made it as an esport. I genuinely believe it could have made it. And well, I think the success of stuff like WoW, it kind of is a testament to that, because especially considering that Guild Wars 2 is better in terms of PvP than something like World of Warcraft, because it's kind of a PvP centric game at the end of the day. Really, it's a real shame that disappeared. Will it ever come back? I mean, at this point, certainly not. But yeah, it was certainly a good time, and I think its success was good. You know, I genuinely do. I think it did pretty well. I guess not well enough for the investment, because that's the assumption there. But I don't know.
I'm sure they put out a lot of money to make that happen.
Well, of course.
But I think, but I think like a lot of those people, those pros who were playing at the time, I don't necessarily think that you had to give them that same type of event. You could have scaled it back some and still kept that environment more stable than it became at that time, because they basically didn't talk to them for months and none of them knew what was happening. And some of them kind of got bored and started to win trade a little bit or sell monthly ATs or whatever the case was. Some of them became a little bit naughty or just left the game altogether. And it's a real shame that it came to that because of lack of communication, basically, with those players and those teams.
Yeah, feels fucking bad. Yeah, it just got dropped, right? It just got dropped. With a lot of things, and the worst thing is that you didn't really know, right? It just was okay. It's nothing's happening, and then something will happen at some point, right? I guess, but then it didn't, and then people just kind of disappeared. It just seemed a bit like I mean, I hate to say it, with what Mjolnir is saying, it was just a bit of a you know, like, well, we did it. There's no follow through. You know, where was the follow through? Where's the follow up? And this is with a lot of things, I find, actually. This doesn't seem to be a bit of a follow through from it. They make something really good, right? And then they don't follow through.
Ugh,
you know?
Stronghold.
Stronghold is a great example of this. That could have been a pretty cool game mode. It could have worked out well, but it didn't get changed. They added a trebuchet, and then that was it, right? You know, it's
yeah. I like Stronghold. I know that you like Stronghold. A lot of people didn't like Stronghold, but I think that could have been a good game mode if they would have given it more time and more development and more love. And it just, because people didn't like it, they were just like, okay, let's go back to what we've been doing.
Yeah. It's the tale of Guild Wars 2. Guild halls left unfinished. Masteries never really worked out as they were intended as well, right? Stronghold, World versus World is kind of left a little bit unfinished right now. Raids are kind of left by the waysides now. Fractals are CMs, that's gone. You know, it's kind of dungeons are kind of, again, completely abandoned content. There's so many things in the game that have kind of just been put down and then just swept under the carpet. You know, it's sad. It's genuinely sad. I don't know.
Yeah.
If ArenaNet announced that the World Championship would be happening again this year, how many people do you think would watch it? To be frank,
not many.
I don't know. I think people would come back.
I think they could break 2K.
I honestly think that if they brought it back, a lot of people would come back and play and try hard. You'd be able to bring people back. I said
you'd have to give it a proper ramp up, like a proper announcement ahead of time. And...
Yeah. Like I said, the players playing Guild Wars 2 barely need an excuse to come back. Bick has quit fucking... How many times has he quit? Like fucking 5 times? 6 times? Okay? Probably going to quit at least a few more times as well on top of that, right? You know, this is not... You know, you don't need an excuse to play Guild Wars 2. You barely need anything. Like, and... I don't know. I'd love to talk to ArenaNet and be reassured of this, but sometimes it just feels like they're just not sure of themselves in a way that the confidence has been lost. Like, and I can understand that now. And I want to make this clear. I don't intend to be cold or mean or mean spirit when I say this. I can completely understand that things not going so well with, of course, the layoffs. I can understand that knocking the company's confidence and the company's vision. I completely empathize with that. And it's a horrible thing. It really is, guys. Okay? The troubles that ArenaNet have been going through with people's literal jobs on the line, that's horrible, right? It really is. And I can understand their confidence being knocked. But I don't know. In a way, I wish I could say, guys, you don't need to be, unsure of yourselves. Like, you've got such a great thing here. Even if the game's mechanics and the systems in the game are still just better, right? One of the reasons I haven't even bothered to try stuff like ESO is because, like, yeah, you might get more content, but it's going to feel so much worse to play. The systems in Guild Wars 2 are just better. That they just are, right? The combat is better, right? I love the PvP mode. I think Conquest is great. The raids are just fun, right? The raids are just good, and I don't know. I just wish people at ArenaNet would kind of see me saying this. Look, I feel like at this point, my opinion, okay, is pretty valid. I've played the game for probably 15,000 hours, okay? I've probably got 15k hours on the clock, right? If anyone, and I played all game modes, by the way, all game modes, World vs. World, PvP, raids, open world, all of it, done it all, okay? I've done it all. If anyone can have an informed opinion on Guild Wars 2 and its merits, it's got to be me, right? I've got my opinion's got to count for something, right? And the thing is, it's not just me. If I was just like one freak guy who says this, but dude, so many people are going to say this, right? Like, all the PvPers are going to say it. All the people who play World vs. World, like GVGers, are going to say it. All the people who still play raids are going to say that, right? People who are going to go to other games and say, damn, dude, like, ESO's got something going for it, but man, I just cannot hack that combat system. The same with WoW. I mean, I'm probably going to play Classic WoW, and fuck me, it's going to be a step down, okay? No dodging, okay? No casting while moving, okay? Just like a vastly inferior combat system, like with no action to it at all. And damn, dude, it's going to be one hell of a step down, right? As I'm gonna miss this game, But then I'm gonna come back to this game, and then you kind of get reminded why you don't play, and it really fucking sucks. I just wish I wish there was no reason to play anything else.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel. I don't play Guild Wars 2 every day anymore. And even when I do play, I play for, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I did a little bit of like World vs. World this weekend, but for me, a long time player, there just isn't really much for me to do in the game right now. Sure, there's some raids I haven't completed. I could go do that. I could play structured PvP, but I don't really feel like it. And PvE content, don't get me wrong, there's still things for me to do. But the things that are left to do really aren't that super interesting to me personally. I've grinded for AP before, and I've made legendaries and all that kind of stuff. So, the repeatable content that's there, unfortunately, I've just sort of played out. So what is kind of nice, and this goes all the way back to when I left TeaTime originally, I just got burnt out on the game. You play for 10,000 plus hours. How much do you really expect for a game to hold your attention for? But taking that break and coming back is a good, refreshing thing. I just wish I didn't have to take that break.
Yeah.
To get back to that place when the solution for me, and this may not be for everybody, but the solution for me would be a major rebalance in World vs. World. Like a major rebalance overhaul in World vs. World would give me that stuff, as well as just more content to do, more dungeons, more raids, even though I don't do a whole ton of raids, but more open world stuff, stuff that's repeatable, because you do the story once, and unless you want to do the achievements, I don't, some people will disagree, but there just isn't, I need more 5-man content. Is what it comes down to, or more instanced content in general.
When it comes to instance content, I think open world is probably the most underrated and underutilized thing in Guild Wars 2, actually. And this is something that I actually believe to be incredibly unlikely, and I view it as a great shame. But I think open world content is something that Guild Wars 2 does extremely well, that it just doesn't get utilized, right? Like, it's left as very easy mode, like complete face roll stuff. Like, all the depth has been removed. But I think that stuff like Triple Trouble, the Marionette, like the original Scarlet Battle on the Breachmaker, all this stuff like was, I don't know, I would say innovative even. Like, this stuff was crazy when it came out, right? And like the idea of it is just fantastic. Like it really does go into the spirit of Guild Wars 2 in its true potential, which is just this glorious, like, epic open world adventure with hundreds of players engaged in this content simultaneously, and it doesn't get capitalized on because it's all incredibly easy, right? There's no challenge whatsoever to it. Like, there's no chance of failure. You like Guild Wars 2 open world content, like, you can be alt tabbed and you'll still get your rewards, right? Like, you barely play the game. I think one of the things that could be awesome and really attract people would basically have like open world raids, right? We even have this in stuff like WoW, right? You have open world raids, raid bosses anyway. But you could have this in Guild Wars 2. I think it'll be amazing, right? Like, the potential to get some great loot, really good loot, maybe some Ascended and stuff like that, which you can, by the way, from Triple Trouble into Quaddle, right? I think it would be awesome to have that sort of thing in the game, and have these open world bosses that take a lot of players to take down, and are actually challenging, and you kind of have a chance of failure. I mean, that is very unlikely to happen because Guild Wars 2 likes their content
and you know
to be
what?
very easy, but still.
I sort of skipped over that, but you're absolutely right. More Triple Trouble Worms, Scarlet's Invasion type thing. I replayed that content a lot. So yeah, absolutely. Add that to my list of things that would keep me vested long.
Yeah. It could absolutely work. Half of TeaTime is it. Everything is a balance. Exactly. Boots did snapped his fingers, boys, and he's gone. So we're gonna have to do something about that. Find out next week on TeaTime when we get the epic recovery, right? We can bring everyone back after that, hopefully. Anyway, well, I'll find out tomorrow because I'm seeing Endgame tomorrow, lads. Okay, that's what Endgame's going on there, boys. Okay, it's going down. Yeah, there needs to be a reason to communicate. Doesn't matter that much if it's hard open world or instance content. Yeah, that's the thing, right? If you make something difficult, you make something challenging, you're going to inherently incentivize communication. Like, if it's required, people will do it, right? If people will always take the path of least resistance. If it isn't required, okay, then people won't do it, right? And that kind of sucks. There's of course the option to, but it's just not necessary, right? It's just not necessary. I'd love to see more challenging content in the game in general. I don't know. I don't really have much to say.
I never thought I would actually say this, but I actually miss more content like the hot meta.
Like the what? Sorry,
like
you
the
cut
Heart
out.
of Thorns metas.
Yeah, there's a reason why people still play them. There really is.
I just wish there were new ones. For me personally, yeah, Leo's making noise in the background. For me personally, let's say we get a new map with a story, right? You got the hearts, and you got some of the more traditional events that happen, but I've seen that done so many times that's just not really interesting to me anymore. I don't know how they can spice that up or change that around or whatever. I'm sure there is a way to do that, but what I'm mostly interested in now is not necessarily something that takes over the entirety of the map, but some sort of large boss or large meta that does take place in the map that is repeatable and rewarding.
Yeah. I have no contention with that point, to be honest. I have nothing to say against that. I completely agree. It's what the game has been missing. I think really it has been missing that for
like Istan. Well, the Frozen map, which with the story where everybody started to hate Bram because he was a child. He was acting emo baby. What is that map called with the bear?
What, Bitterfrost?
Bitterfrost, right. So that has a big storm that happens, and there's lots of little champions that spawn around. Not a terrible event, but there should have been a mega boss that comes out of the ice or something in the center of the map, or a reason to go into the frozen tundra area where you need the juice or whatever. But there's no reason you go there, and then there's nothing. There's just bosses. There's just not bosses. There's just enemies or whatever. But that whole map should have culminated into a big boss fight, and it doesn't. The storm just goes away.
Yeah.
What about
unfinished, though? That was just unfinished, right?
Yeah, but then they don't go back and ever finish that stuff, right? They don't ever go back and fix that kind of thing. And I get it. Maybe they just don't have the resources. But what about what about the map? I'm terrible with map names, guys. What about the map that has the castle or the fortification, the crescent moon?
Oh, yeah. Corner, right? Corner. Yeah.
How is that not better than what it is? How are we not sieging that keep or whatever? You can only go in one lane, and then there's nothing on the inside. It's cardboard. It's like
it was simply unfinished, though. That's the trouble with all this. Because they were working on a skeleton crew when these maps are being developed. Effectively, they just ended up unfinished, right? And they end up as very empty. And in a way, I think that's the way that the resources are being assigned, right? You end up in a bad situation where you push out these maps and there's just nothing to do in them, right? They're very empty, very play them through once and then that's it, right? And it's a focus on single player content, right, Inks? It's just, it seems that this game is being developed for single player, right? You play it through it once and that's it. You play the story because you go in there a little bit in the story, right? More so in the story than in the map. But the fact that you aren't there in the map, I completely agree, is ridiculous. But at the end of the day, I think that's because there were just no resources available for that. They were focusing all of their development time on these other projects, which are now been bumped off a little bit. I think Mjolnir's right. Like I think incorporating 5-man content into the story will be incredible, actually. Like making them worth repeating, right? Maybe give them some rewards for doing them. Make it like a borderline raid, right? I think that'd be fantastic. Like, but I just don't think it's really gonna. It's really not gonna happen, right? It sucks, but it's not. Death Brand Shadow is a great event, by the way. It's too easy, but it's a great event. Like I just wish that there was some difficulty to open world, right? A bit of challenge to it, a bit of danger in these bosses, right? They're just ultra easy and just not really worth doing that. They don't feel special because they don't require any organization or anything like that, right? You just do them, you just beat them.
Yeah, and I said the same thing. Somebody in chat here is saying, what if Balthazar was like a raid or something, like an easy raid with a CM mode or whatever. And I said the same thing for the most recent episode where we fight Kralkatorrik, his eye or whatever. You've got to maintain 3 separate nodes, right? But as a single player, you just go around and capture, and they stay captured. But what if in a raid scenario you had to capture all 3 at the same time in order to bring the boss down so that you could actually DPS it? That could be a good raid fight. That could be interesting. That's not how it works, but that would be really cool, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it will be really cool. But let's see. Let's move on. I think it's the tea time has been going. It's a bumper tea time, guys. But of course, it will be. It's the epic return. And see if we can eventually Brazil might reappear anyway at some point. So we'll have to wait for that. But let's move on to something else and kind of back to the future of the game. And all of the stuff we're talking about here, do you think it's actually likely to change? Or do you think that we are kind of on the road? Are we on the road that we're going to stay on right now? Or is there going to be... Will we see any changes? Because we know there's been an internal reshuffle. But I would also say that that's going to take a while to come through. Because realistically, I would say that... I think it would be fair to say that Season 5, Episode 1 is probably very much underway, if not done. And it probably was during the reshuffles, right? Maybe even some work on Episode 2, right, of Season 5. So realistically, the actual results of the reshuffle, we probably won't see for minimum 3 months, right? I would say even 6 months. We won't see much.
6 months, yeah.
Before you even say anything. What do you expect anything major? What do you think could be a potential change that we see in the episode or in ArenaNet in general, with regards to the content, the living story, and all of that sort of thing? What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I think that, first of all, Episode 6 has been held on purpose to give them more time to work on other things, to finish other things up, or to give them a little bit of lead time, so that when Episode 6 comes out, then there's a little less time into Episode 1 of Season 5. Because these teams, Episode 1 and 2 are being worked on currently already. Episode 1's probably near done, if not in some sort of testing phase. That's just how development companies in general work and lead up to this type of content. Because of the restructuring, like you said, minimum 3 months, probably 6 months before we see any change. And I do think we will see a change. I think you're going to see, gosh, I hate to say that you're going to see raids more frequently because I'm so scared of saying that. But I do think you're going to see some content more often than we've been seeing it in the past. And on top of that, I do think there's going to be some sort of feature pack where we get cooking, where we get legendary runes and sigils. I think we're going to see probably a little bit more balance, or I hope we see a little bit more balance in general as well. And I think that stuff's going to happen, but again, at least 6 months down the line. The restructuring is probably in place by now, but for them to pump out content, I mean, they're just starting their engines, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would agree with that. Now, I would. This is where I would tend to get a little bit negative, right? I think that the changes are going to be relatively minor, and I think realistically, even though it's fun to get excited and talk about this stuff, I do kind of think we are kind of on the path to where, well, we're already there, right? I don't think that. I think ArenaNet will stick with their strategy. I don't think they'll adjust their strategy or anything like that. Do I think we'll see an expansion? I do, absolutely. I think it's not going to be 2 years. I think it will be sooner than 2 years. It'll be relatively soon, in fact, for the expansion. I think it's something that is very much being focused a lot on in terms of like what the plan is. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion coming up soon, and I think it will package major features into it. I wouldn't be surprised if alliances were maybe put into it. I wonder if they could almost like a world versus world focused expansion, actually, like as in they really kind of push the idea of the Mist War or something like that as part of the expansion. I think that could be something really, really cool actually to kind of have in there in the mix. But I don't know. I do think we'll see elite specializations as well, but and I think with the focus now back on Guild Wars 2, I definitely expect to see more of a cohesive plan instead of just more of this when it's ready stuff. Like I can't believe they're just going to go with the when it's ready sort of thing, because I think that's not the best way that they can conduct themselves for generating hype and keeping the content kind of flowing, right? I think it's not quite ideal for what they're exactly going for right now for the game. So I think the change, we're going to see more content. When we see more raids, more raids is a really interesting one. The next raid is going to be very telling. I actually genuinely think there is a slight chance that there is some kind of easy mode being added to the raids, and maybe some reworks to how the challenge modes operate as well. But we'll know when that raid comes out. Like if the new raid does have a bit more of an accessible option, then I think it's possible that we will see more raids. But until raids have this accessibility option because of the casual community, I think they're very much going to be on the back burner, and they're not going to see much development in terms of that content. And it is going to be mostly the open world and more casual stuff that sees a lot of development. I mean, do I wish that it wasn't so? I absolutely do, but unfortunately, I am not that crazy, guys. I'm not completely crazy.
I honestly believe this is going to be laughable to some people, to a lot of people, especially here, but I honestly believe you could see as many as 2 raids a year. Not this year, but 2 raids per year, I think is where you could reasonably, if they're doing this refocus, I think you could reasonably expect to see 2 raids per year. And that sounds not good, but so far you're getting 1 raid a year, right?
I think 2 is fine. I'd be happy with 2 raids a year. I'd be pretty happy with that. I certainly wouldn't be upset whatsoever if we got 2. I mean, that would be a fucking miracle.
100% more raids. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it will be 100% more raids. And to be frank, I think that's even enough. That's definitely good enough to sustain people in the game. I actually think that's good enough, to be honest.
You can 6 months a raid. I think that's doable. I think that should be doable.
Yeah, I think it's doable, and I think that's acceptable as well. I think that's enough to kind of keep the scene going. That'll be 6 bosses. That basically be a boss a month. Right? That's pretty okay, especially if they're all of solid difficulty and they have challenge modes. Like, for example, in Wing 6, every single boss had a challenge mode. If it was 3 bosses every 6 months, okay, with challenge modes on every single one of them, hell yeah, I can get behind that. I think they should definitely stay away from events, right? The event type ones they're not fun, right? Unless they're difficult, right? The trouble with the event type ones is that they're all incredibly easy, right? And as a result of that, they're incredibly boring. I think statues in Wing 5 is the best example of this. Like, it was kind of cool, this kind of fun gimmick puzzle the first time we did it, but after the
And then
first
after
time,
that, you're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to do this. Can I just go to the next boss?
yeah, then you realize that it's just very slow, right? And
I feel
and
that
nothing-
way.
Yeah, very
Going
unengaging,
to Zira.
right?
Going from keep construct to Zira. I feel that way every single. Can I just go fight Zira? I don't want to do the warp puzzle thing.
I don't mind. I don't mind Twisted Castle so much because it can be done quickly. You can do it in like a minute, right? If you have a good team.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that so much. But it's more like the bosses that you have to do for loot, right? And I guess you have to do Twisted Castle right now. For example, the one pre-event that is kind of annoying is the Wing 1 one, right? Like between Veil Guardian and Gorseval. I don't necessarily dislike stuff like that, but I think it should be maybe a little bit. Well, no, I don't mind the VG one. I mean, the only event in that is like the Circles event directly after Veil Guardian. I think that takes a bit too long. And the novelty is lost very quickly, right? Or maybe hell, why not just increase the rewards for it? Give you some more champ bags. I think raids in general could actually do with a bit of a reward buff for repeating them as well. I think that the raid community in general will be a lot healthier and a lot better if there was an incentive to do the raids again. What raids currently encourage you to do, right, is do them once, right? Do them once a week and then log out if you're a raid player. And then just don't come back, right? If raids were in some way repeatable, they gave you some more champion bags or something like that, then I don't know. I think that would genuinely be a really good thing. Like make challenge modes repeatable in some way. So you want to do weekly challenge modes as well. I think that would be fantastic.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, but I think it would be absolutely fantastic to really bring it in. And the thing is, if there's a reason to do raids more than once a week, suddenly you're going to have way more people on the LFG, right? Because as it stands right now, people pug their clear and then they go, oh, thank goodness that's over, right? But what if raiding was actually a great way to farm gold or something like that, and it's actually really incentivized to keep playing, like with some champion bags or something like that, or I don't know, just a little bit of gold, just a little tiddly bit of gold. It'd be great, right? I think it'd be really, really good. But that isn't the case, and we'll know with the next raid again. In the same way that in my mind, this coming raid, this coming story patch is really pivotal because I think they're gonna tell us about the direction of the game and so on and stuff like that. I also really think that that the next raid is going to be very pivotal on where we're going with raids, okay? If we see some design changes in raids, and it's going to be, okay, right, now we can repeat the CMs. Oh, now there's something for doing raids again. Oh, now there's an accessible mode, so everyone can do raids, like really, really easy mode, okay? That is a big step, in my opinion, and if those things happen, then I can see raids being more dedicated to. But to be honest, I would actually take the negative approach here and say that if we don't see some design changes to raids and some reworks to raids, I don't think they are viable in the kind of community that Guild Wars 2 is currently cultivating, which is the more casual player base. Like, raids are already very, very easy, but 95% of the player base simply cannot do them because they're too challenging for them, okay? Now, again, that's not flame. That's just true. But if we don't see some design changes, some accessibility for the lower end, and some challenge for the higher end, right, with some repeatable, challenging content, right, then we are going to see raids kind of wither away, I think, and the focus will move away from raids. In a way, I would be inclined to agree with ArenaNet. If ArenaNet said that raids were a bit of a failed project, at this point, I'd kind of have to agree with that. Like, they do not generate engagement with the player base. And to be honest, look what happened to Fractal Challenge modes, guys, okay? What happened? They didn't engage with the player base, and look what happened to them, okay? When was the last Fractal Challenge mode, guys? Okay, and I think that unless we see some changes in raids, that will happen to raids as well. So I realize it's a bit pessimistic, guys, but it is fucking real, dude. Okay. Yeah. That's so not true. People don't do them because, like me, I only have 125 likes. When I try to pug, I get turned down because I don't have a like. Well, why not just make your own group then? Right. That's the thing. Right. Okay. Now, IP. It's probably because you want to join a good group, right? Okay. But the thing is, like, people want to play with people of similar experience and similar skill level, and you might be the sickest fucking player ever. Okay. Well, then just make your own group. You don't have to join other people's groups. In fact, you'll probably fill your LFG really fast. If you make like a 100 LI group, people are going to 100% join that really fast, you know? So just I don't know, just do that or join a guild or something like that. It's getting into raiding is pretty easy in my opinion. Even if you don't have insights, people will often give you a chance. I've done this on alt accounts where people didn't recognize me and didn't know who I was. I was very easily able to get into high kill proof groups and actually get kills, just by just being confident, understanding the mechanics and saying, listen buddy, okay, if I fail, you fucking kick me, and then I hard carry them, you know. I really think that getting into raids is still pretty easy. The pug experience can be pretty bad, I agree, like people really fucking suck. But no, like you can 100% get around it. Like you can't expect to go into like the elitist, ultra fast clear on day one of raiding because look, people want to play with people of similar skill and similar experience, right? So you can't really blame them for that, in my opinion. Like you can't get away with that. You know, I think it's fine. But yeah, there you go. Boom, boom. If you're in WoW and you look in the LFG tool and you see only 2 people selling raids, no one using to make parties, I would peg the game as dead. Well, I mean, that very rarely happens, to be fair. I mean, even now, let's see what the raid LFG is like right now, guys. Let's go and check out the situation. And it's very late. Well, it's just not that late EU. But look, I mean, hang on. Let me try and show you. I'm going to move it over here. Look at that, lads. That's the raid LFG now, and yeah, it's not the craziest, most alive thing, and you've got a few selling guilds in there, but mostly it's just raids, right? Just some people raiding, like some people recruiting for their guild and so on and so forth, right? It's all good. It's NA all the time. I mean, NA, but I mean, it's not NA Prime. Like, NA Prime, it's obviously worse. Like, NA is very quiet, that's true. But that's just because the NA scene seems to be just a little bit more casual, right? You know, just a little bit more casual, you know, than the EU scene, which is fine, by the way. You know, that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? But the LFG is still okay, right? You know, it's just wait for NA Prime. Like right now, guys, like what time is it in NA? What time is it for you, Inks, currently?
4:30.
4:30, right? I mean, it's not really getting to Prime yet.
On a Sunday.
On a Sunday, right? So, you know, it's obviously... It's going to be a little bit more, but realistically, I'd wait a few hours, right? And then you'll get some more people on NA. And bear in mind, it is Sunday. Like, Sunday is the quietest day because basically everyone's already got their clears. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It's already got their clears. And look, this is the problem with the replayability thing, right? Like, once people get raids, they don't play raids for the rest of the week, right? And and here's the thing, right? When do most people clear raids? On a Monday, right? People beat their raid, right? And then they come back next Monday. So you lose a huge amount, okay, of their player base, right? Immediately on day one. And look, I'm not bashing the community. That's just the nature of the beast, right? People clear on Monday, then they log out. You know, and I agree. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, NA is absolutely a lot quieter on the LFG. A lot of people on NA play in static groups, okay, and static lists, and stuff like that, rather than pugging. And on EU, it's very much pug centric as well. But yeah, I agree. There are some problems with the system. Sassy is saying that it's stupid. No, I agree. I think raids should be repeatable, and there should be a motivation for doing them again. Because think about it: if there's a motivation for doing them again, that means you're going to have more people pugging raids all the time, more people playing. So that means the game is going to be more alive the entire time. Like that population of raiders will keep raiding throughout the week because they like raids. You know, that's good.
And because it's rewarding, they can get more rewards for doing so.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you know, rewards are good, right? And it kind of sucks if you don't really get anything. I mean, I am a bit of a niche case. I do just play raids no matter what. I'll just go in there and mess around. But no, I completely understand that players want to be rewarded for doing something. They want to get that gold, right? So they can get their fancy weapon. They can get their fancy skin.
I would love to have an open conversation with ArenaNet with the raid team. Like I don't know who's running the raid team nowadays or whatever, but I would love to sit down and just find out, like, why did you not make CM repeatable? Like, and still to this day, not repeatable. Like, why is that exactly? I'm sure they have a reason for it. I just don't know what that reason is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure they do, and I think the reason that they would give is that they don't want to split the player base. In my opinion, it's not a particularly. Oh, look who's back!
My neighbors.
Yeah. Oh, wait, your mic is a lot better now as well, actually.
Well, I guess that's great.
Oh, now it's worse. Now it's trash.
Now it's worse. Okay.
Welcome back, Brazil. We're still going, as you can tell. Now, this isn't a really interesting argument to have, actually, about the raid CMs. Now, I think that what they would say is that they don't want to split the player base, right? And they don't want players who only do CM raids and players who do normal mode. But in my opinion, that would not happen, because people who would do CMs would also do normal mode, right? I think that there would actually be... Oh, I think he's gone again. Wait, is he still here?
Whoops.
Oh.
He's coming and going.
Oh, okay. All right. So the thing about splitting the play... Oh, hello? Yeah.
We'll see how long this lasts.
No.
I got a phone call as soon as I fucking rejoined Discord. Like, as soon as I did.
Yeah. Laguama, they said this in a forum post, I believe. I can't recall, but they oh no, was it Reddit actually about repeatable CMs? And they said that they don't want to split the player base, so it's something that's on the table, but they're really worried about splitting the player base, I believe, with regards to CMs and fractal CMs. But look,
and I just don't see that. I don't understand.
Yeah,
that just doesn't.
I don't get it. And also, I would go even further. The player base is already split, right? Okay, the good players play with the
player. No. Yeah. You're wrong.
Okay.
The player base isn't already split. The player base doesn't fucking exist in the first place. You can't split something if it's not there. So the correct thing to do is to get a player base, and you can get a player base by fucking adding new shit for people to do. If you stop, Jesus Christ, I'm ranting because I'm pissed off at the road in my phone. I'm going to try to control it a little bit.
Yeah. My goodness. Yeah, no, I mean, there's, the player base, in my opinion, is already split, right? Good people play with good people, and bad people, kind of get memed on, right? Which kind of sucks. So, in a way, like, you're not going to change anything by doing this, right? The people who do CMs, in my opinion, would still play with people who don't do CMs, right? They'd do their weekly CMs, and they'd play normal mode, right? Because they light raids, they'd still be pugging raids. Because look, you still have people from SC and from QT who still pug raids. Why would they do that when they're in this super elitist guild? It's because they like raids and they like to have a bit of fun and play around. I just think that the idea that it would split the player base is a bit ridiculous, to be honest. Like, and it kind of happened with, I guess it did almost happen with fractals. Like, people want to do 100 CM and 99 CM, but you can still find a group for normal mode. In fact, I've actually joined some fractal groups and they didn't want to do CM, right? Because they just didn't want it. It was just a little bit too difficult, and so they didn't want to do CM. So it's not like this isn't going to happen. And also, there's a big distinction here as well. With the fractal, the fractal CM versus normal mode thing. Okay, unless that fractal is daily, you do not get anything for doing the fractal. Okay, raids don't have dailies, right? Okay, there's no daily raid or anything like that. So the normal mode raid would still be rewarding, right? Like, if you just did 99 CM on fractal 99 on a day where it isn't daily, that's a waste of time, right? Because you get basically fuck all, right? That's how fractals is designed, okay? That's not the case with raids. So even though I don't think fractal CMs actually split the player base at all either, just as a matter of fact, a matter of point of contention there, I think that's also a slightly, I don't know, it's not a good way of looking at it. I think that they have different activities and different tier levels for players of different skill levels, and I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And to be honest, I think if Fractal 99, okay, had rewards on a day where it isn't daily, you would still have people doing it, right? If you could do a daily 99 Fractal, right, and it would still give you kind of the same thing as the CM, just less of it, yeah, I think they would still do it. They'd still do it daily because people love to do stuff every day. It's not the fact that it's hard that divides the player base. It's the fact that it gives rewards, specially that you can't get from doing the normal mode, right? That would divide the player base. But the thing is, that's already the case, right? In raids, already the case in fractals anyway, and it doesn't really have that effect, in my opinion. It doesn't really do it because doing a fractal that isn't daily is kind of a waste of time. If fractals all gave equal rewards, regardless if they were daily or not, then I think you would actually see people do 99 and 100 just randomly, right? Okay, you'd have people doing all sorts of fractals randomly. You just like pick 3 random for your daily or something like that. The reason people don't do normal mode, okay, 99 normal mode 100, is because people don't do a fractal if it isn't daily, right? If that makes any sense. I think, am I expressing myself correctly here, guys? That's how it works, right? It's not because they're like, oh, dude, we're so elitist when I'll CM. It's just that the only reason you would ever do 99 fractal is if it's daily. And if you're going to do, if it's daily, you might as well do CM, right? Because it gives you more rewards. You want to be as efficient as possible. You don't have to, but you would, Yeah. What the fuck? Yeah. When? Screenshot, it didn't happen. Oh yeah, this is I may have actually left that group because I didn't want to do 99 if it wasn't I didn't want to do it non-CM, but it was quite a while ago. And I just joined. What did I join for? I think it was with Mike actually. And I just joined in with some fractals, like they were at end boss or something, and I leached an end boss for a daily. It was just like some random daily fractal, and it was at end boss. So I was like, okay, I'll leech. And they were like, do we want to do like the others? And we loaded into 99, fractal 99, and it wasn't CM, so I was like, okay, no, I don't want to do non-CM, right? So I just left, right? I'm a big meanie. What can I say? But there you go. I was just randomly leeching, and I didn't want to CM. And that's fair enough. But I just don't want to do it if it isn't CM. That's just me though. But guys, I think we've kind of gone as this tea time has gone as far as it can go, guys. I think it's been one hell of a fucking episode, boys. What?
One hell of an episode, boys.
Yeah. It really has. Okay, Brazil, do you have any thoughts to move into the mix here?
Yeah, there's a cop up here, and I'm glad they got someone else and not me, because I may or may not be doing double the speed limit.
Yeah. Brazil, be careful, dude. What the fuck? You gotta relax.
This is real life CM right here.
Yeah.
This is called
real life CM.
4-hour road trip, one direction. It's like an 8-hour round trip to buy a fucking camera. Shout out to Vasberg's girlfriend, waifu, if she's watching. She mentioned me earlier. I'm okay, Vasberg. I'm alive.
Yep.
Don't worry.
Brazil
glad you're alive.
He's.
I have to say thank you to Vasberg publicly though. He's been helping me along in my journey, and he's a bro. He's a dude, bro.
Nice.
He's cool.
The journey of the camera.
The camera, yeah.
Photography.
Stop.
I'm trying to learn to do something.
Stop inviting Brazil. Just he talk a lot of crap.
What?
We've got a Twitch chat comment. Stop inviting Brazil. Just he talk a lot of crap. That's a quote.
That's correct. That's why I'm here. And you're talking crap too in Twitch chat. The only difference between you and I is that you're irrelevant. And people don't want to hear me while I'm fucking driving in a car on a shitty fucking microphone on my phone. You're telling me not to talk crap. I don't give a fuck about you or who you are. I can't even see your username right now.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Right. By the way, here, I'm sorry about that. Just in case.
Bleep that out.
Yeah,
Editing or
we're
something.
gonna edit that out. Okay, we're gonna edit that out.
Edit it out.
I feel bad for anybody. Never mind. I'm just gonna stop talking about it.
No.
Paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Don't clip it.
All right. Fine. We're okay. We're done. We're done. Fuck. Yeah. Shit. Okay. All right. Let's do the shilling. Inks. Thanks for watching Tea Time, by the way, guys. Okay. MMO Inks.
Send $1 to Inks at mmoinks.com.
Do you have that domain?
At Gmail? No, I don't have that domain. I don't even know. How does PayPal work? Send me $1 on PayPal.
There you go.
Brofist.
Do it. All right. And finally, well, secondarily, it is Brazil. I you know what? I'll show for Brazil because I don't think anyone's going to understand him anyway. Brazil doesn't really do anything.
I don't have anywhere anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't.
No, I don't have any. I don't have a Twitter or anything. I am a ghost, as they say.
Yes. There's his old Twitch, Ghostly Infusion. I don't think it's active anymore, though. There you go.
I got Twitch affiliate and then stopped streaming the next day.
Nice. There we go. And finally, guys, well, also, bear in mind, guys, Bootspo is on this tea time as well, guys. Be sure to check him out. Yeah, there's a link to him right there. World of Enders on YouTube, okay, and on Twitter as well. Check him out. He does fun meme builds, fun meme-tastic encounters, guys, with Guild Wars 2. So get in the mix. Check that shit out. Okay, boom, 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 boom. And of course, guys, thanks for watching this show. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about the clown fiesta there at the end. YouTube will never know. Guys, if you want to know what happened, okay, at your own risk, okay, you have to watch the VOD on Twitch, okay, because right before now there had been a little edit, okay? And if you want to find out what was said, then you have to go back in, and I'll give you guys a clue, okay? Brazil just started like yelling the gamer word, dude. He was just going crazy, okay? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, be sure to follow everyone. Follow this stream, guys. Subscribe. Let's fucking go, okay? Hit the sub button. Follow, subscribe, give me that cash, okay? Subscribe now. Follow on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Boom, 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 let's go, okay? Follow everyone here, all over the place. Get in the mix, okay? I'll be all over the place. So thank you guys for watching. I'll stick around a little bit, talk to the chat a little bit, have a little bit of a, a bit of a meme, bit of some Q&A and stuff like that. But yeah, for YouTube, the road ends here, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show, okay? I'll be back. I stream every day, okay? You can check that out, okay? But yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you all in the mists. Okay?
In the mist.
Thanks for watching, guys. Follow, subscribe to everyone here. And we'll see you around, okay? Thanks, guys. See you later.